and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. The greatest role on Earth. It's certainly been an eventful show so far. It's first excursion of the new Circus of Wayward Wonders, but as we say in the business, the show must go on. And so far, fortunately, go on it has. No short thanks to the very quick thinking and opportune actions of some of our star performers from our opening nights. Now there's a lot of questions floating around our camp, a lot of questions floating around our show. Not only about our future or how we could continue, but the very here and now. The very safety could hang in the balance, but I get ahead of myself. My name's Squiiddish. Welcome back, everybody, to the second episode of our fine circus fiesta. It's been a lot of fun so far. Very fun circus where everything goes exactly how we expect it to and there's no problems and then everyone's happy, right? And to be fair, the show was fantastic as far as the good citizens of Aberdeen were concerned. It's the aftermath and the backstage that where things started to fall apart a little bit. But I, here, presenting, GMing, running this thing, I'm certainly not the only member of this cast, and honestly, not even the star of the show, really. It's these fine folk over here who we should introduce. All right, we started, I believe, with Chelsea last time, so let's go the opposite corner, because that's a new fancy face. Hello, May, how are you doing? Who are you? Introduce yourself, these fine.
Great. I am May, and I'm just introducing myself, not my character. I was so ready to go right into it. I am a variety streamer, mostly fantasy games, because, you know, we love fantasy. And I ran here as fast as I could from work so I could play with these lovely people. I've played a couple other games on the DAT network, but this is my first time playing Pathfinder 2E. I have only played 1E, although I forget every time which one I have played, and I have to ask Jared, and he'll tell me. So
I get that.
Good news for simplicity's sake. We are still level 1, so you don't have to contend with any of the crazy, complicated, higher level things. It's a good time to jump into the show. How about you, Jared?
I love it.
Well, I'm Jared. I am one of the creative directors here on the DAT network, along with Adam Kimbleton in chat there. I am the Real Gobshite on Twitch, a variety streamer. I am a Los Angeles-based cinematographer for movies, TV, and film. That's about it. That's all you get.
Would you say that we could Google you if we wanted to learn more, perhaps?
You could Google me. Yeah, you could go to the Google, and you could Google me if you wanted.
All
right. Yeah, if you're dropping it off on me, yeah, then I can also say the same. Hi, I'm Chelseabytes. You can Google me as well. But if you aren't familiar, I'm a Twitch streamer. I love variety. I love to talk. Have a good time.
And then I guess it's me. Oh god, not good at this. Hi, I'm Ash. I go by Arcane Faith online. I'm a variety streamer as well. I do modeling and now role-playing. I've been playing tabletops for a while, and it's my favorite thing to do. I also like horror games, so if that's your jam, find me, talk with me. God. I love horror games.
Have you played Visage?
Nailed it.
Unfortunately, yes. I'm terrified of horror games, but I play them.
Definitely a backstory there, since, as I said, my name is Squiiddish. I am the GM and host of the Two Perception Show. I run, I can't say a variety of tabletop content when it's literally all Pathfinder 2nd Edition, but it is a variety of Pathfinder 2nd Edition adventures. Also have my own variety stream over on my personal channel, twitch.tv/Squiiddish, doing all kinds of dumb things. So you guys got like your genres with your fantasy and your horror and stuff. I literally just play whatever and have no focus in any way. It's actually fantastic for growth, you'll find. But I saw a thing over here. Thank you, real quick, Destronets, for following us during that intro there. Appreciate it. Last week we started this adventure, raising the curtain on the Circus of Wayward Wonders' very first show, the first major show. We've had some little rehearsals, some simple things out throughout the hinterlands of the Isle of Arran. But this was the big opening night, and just as the curtain about to rise, we found that a terrible fate had befallen our ringmaster, Myron Thunderstedel, the heart and soul of the Circus Wayward Wonders, the one who had started the entire traveling act and quite literally taken the show on the road. We performed anyway, as we had to. Our livelihoods all depend on this. It's a large operation. We're bereft of other options beyond that, but the back of our minds that whole afternoon was a worry of what had happened and why. And now that the show is behind us, fortunately, one Thunder would absolutely have been proud of, a spectacular event, be the talk of the town for weeks. We have to figure out why. We did some brief investigations, determined that something was very amiss, involving some snakes, venom, a whole lot of unmitigated animal aggression, and things that have to have happened very recently. It was not just Myron's passing that had gone wrong. There were quite a few things throughout the show that just kind of continued trying to snowball. We put out the fires as they arose, but this is not something that could have been orchestrated entirely beforehand. It would be nearly impossible, and this leads to the obvious question: who? Or how? Or why? Without answers to those questions, for now, the circus has together moved out of this backstage area, but not far, staying together, moving to the safety of the central campfire in their large campgrounds out behind the big top. All of the show's performers, roustabouts, and enablers are gathered around this large campfire. Safety in numbers, they say, and unsure really how to proceed. As we left off the professor, who, closest thing there might be now to a head figure of the circus, definitely the eldest performer still with the group. I'd asked three of you, Tabitha, Vera, I'm going to do this up from memory, Bodie Perp Wadlerspoot? Question mark? Did I get there?
Waldlerspoot.
Waldlerspoot. How many L's are in this?
There's just one L.
Okay. After your heroics during the show to investigate and ensure the campground was safe and it would be reasonable for everyone to return to their wagons. We don't know what more could be in store for us, and if they'd go so far as to murder Thunder in cold blood, for whatever reason, whether it's Mistress Dusklight and the Celestial Menagerie or something else entirely, it's clear they mean us very severe harm.
We can try and look around. I mean, there was a bunch of rats, and see if there are other places these rats and snakes could be. We have the wagons circled up. It looks like everybody's able to get kind of in one group. We can at least protect ourselves that way.
I don't think it would be a bother to look around. You absolutely should, shouldn't we, little chef? Okay, let's do that.
And Liza nods. Just stay safe, will you? I don't know what's going on here, but I don't know that I can bear to see anything else terrible happen today. Not within the span of so few hours.
I guess this does call for my paring knife. It would be great if I could get like an actual knife. Add that to my Why not, right?
I'm gonna go grab a crossbow. just for I don't want to be close to anything.
That's my dagger. I'm gonna like frame either my rapier or my dagger as a paring knife. Let's do it. So I just unstick that out of my knife collection. I'm like, well, let's go outside, I guess.
One moment. This, as far as preparation is concerned, this is a great idea. I think we have, in our first aid kits here, and the professor starts to move. He's not the sprightliest, back towards the backstage area by himself, and Eliza, kind of concerned, immediately looks at the group of you and goes off with him, not wanting to leave anyone, especially the old man, alone, given the situation. But he heads back to where you have your first aid supplies, a bunch of bandages, stitching kits, simple poultices in case of injuries, or things happen working with heavy equipment and during the X. He roots around a bit in there and pulls out a pair of small, maybe 2-inch tall, square clay flasks with wax stoppers on the top. I had a couple of these down here for a terribly rainy day, and given what has happened so far, I can't think of much of a better time for it. Only the 2 of them, I'm afraid, but a pair of healing potions, should the worst happen.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Should we split these? How should this work?
Well, they're not the most potent.
Oh, I smell it, and I'm like, ugh. It's a little stale.
What if we just hold on to them until someone needs it?
Exactly. Who would hold on to them until who needs it?
Who's the fastest?
It's probably not me.
I mean, we can split it up into somebody take one, somebody take another. But if you want to take one, I'll take another one.
Well, why don't you two hold on to them? Based on the earlier evening's experience, I may be invincible.
If you say so, darling.
As the group of you were discussing this backstage with Eliza and the professor, another figure comes back through the back flap from the staging grounds here. One of your ticketers from the front. And, Mae? Who exactly are you as you're making your way backstage here?
So she's making her way backstage, but you might not see her at first, because she is only about 3 feet tall. She is light green in color and has kind of a very round body, like no neck or head, like it's really just kind of looks like maybe like an olive or something, and these little branchy arms and legs, and a couple sprouts where it actually looks like there are like more little like normal size olives coming off of her, and these big beady eyes, and you would think that she's maybe almost kind of cute if it wasn't so creepy looking.
Do I notice this creature?
Backstage at this point would be empty, save for the group of you as everyone moved outside. So unless you are trying to hide as you come back here, then it would be apparent to everyone as they arrive.
Yeah, I don't think she could probably really hide even if she wanted to, but she is not trying to be sneaky. She's walking in kind of hesitant, but sort of like looking at them, like maybe looks like she's debating walking up to them.
Is this a creature we've seen before?
A part of the circus, I assume.
Will be one of your ticket collectors, yes.
Right.
Definitely have seen them around. They're pretty, and you would know. You would know their name. You have the whole circus is really, even your roustabouts and your front end. You're all part of the family. There's a big point Thunder always made of not elevating one above the other.
Gotcha.
Olive, what are you doing? Wandering around the circus, the tent like this. What? You know, there's something horrible happening right now. Might not be the best time to loiter.
Are you guys going to do something about it? About Thunder?
Well, we'll try. I mean, I'm not really cut out for this. I belong in the kitchen, making art, creations that basically betwixt any palate or mine. But now I'm suddenly a detective? What is this? You're asking the questions that need to be asked. What are we? Where's the constable? Well, either way, we will try to do something about it.
My first question is really, where do we start?
With the rats, I suppose.
We can start with the animals. Start making sure their cages are safe. There's no more sick animals. And just kind of circle around. See if we see anything, any tracks. Olive, do you want to join with us?
I want to help. And she'll, like, kind of adjust. She has, you probably wouldn't usually see her with this, but she has a long sword, or a bastard sword, actually, on her back. And she kind of, like, shuffles it up a little bit. I want to help.
Ticket, I'll lean over to Vera and I'll say, a ticket master with a sword.
It's kind of badass.
Yes. Very, very. We really
But
need
also
to be
concerning.
screening everyone. Right. Very concerning. Well, of course, you can help. Do you have any skills in this department? Do you track or something?
I'm stronger than I look.
Oh.
And I will help protect you so nobody else gets hurt.
That sounds wonderful. I clearly did not know enough about you, Olive. Well, I guess we need to get a move on before it gets any darker.
Oh, I can work on that. And I'll cast Dancing Light and have basically 4 kind of circling Parkan circus lights, kind of spot directing around.
Bodhi, do you want more?
Oh, more lights probably very helpful.
I cast it as well.
Surprisingly well organized for this, honestly. I hadn't really considered how well your magic could aid in this endeavor, Bodhi Perp, but I suppose it makes sense. That magic like that could have made a great many of our performances much better back in my early years. Well, Olive, if you, and you see in his face, he looks not 100% convinced. Do you wear this bastard sword with you normally? Like, do you have a big sword slung across your back when you're collecting tickets, or it's just come out of your wagon and no one has ever seen it before?
I think that she kept it in her wagon, and it was kind of like probably just wrapped in some like thrashed old cloth, so you wouldn't like even know what it was when you saw it.
But between the group of you, the professor's definitely side-eyeing Olive the most here with a sword that has just come out of nowhere. That's admittedly a very impressive sword. I feel that. Well, you'll have to tell me more about your situation before the circus later, perhaps. I suddenly find myself very interested, but I don't have any other way to assist you, I'm afraid. Hopefully those potions won't be necessary, but should the worst come to it, I hope that they help. And if not, I'm going to have a damn few words with that alchemist for certain.
As you should. Ugh,
Spent,
stale
like,
potions. Ugh.
40 minutes trying to explain to me the difference between a potion and an elixir, and, like, I don't know. Like, there was some critical distinction. It's one or the other. The point is, it's... Well,
Don't you
should
drink
have
a potion and put an elixir onto something?
Apparently you drink them both, and what you're thinking of is an oil or a sheen. He really went on for quite some time. I just wanted to buy my potions and be done with it, but...
Vera's already started walking away. She's kind of tuned out already. She's like... she just starts walking.
Oh, Perhaps I'm repeating his error. Well, go then. Don't let me keep you. The circus family may very well depend on you.
Blow a
That's
horn or
just
something
thunder.
if you run into trouble.
He nods.
Then I'll
as
scramble
you
to
head-
catch up with Vera.
The group of you making your way back out towards the campground here. Gorgonaut, thank you as well for the follow. As you would start to kind of fan around there, well, I guess you're probably not going to fan out, but look around the area of where to proceed. You've got a couple of options. As Vera pointed out, most of your wagons are drawn pretty centrally around this campfire that is almost immediately out back of the tent. A stream cuts through the whole of this area where you're drawing most of your water, both for drinking and washing purposes. And on either side, out to the east and west, are the various pens for some of the larger animals: your horses, your goats, your camels, your one elephant. There's a decent little copse of trees down in the southwest, which is where a lot of your firewood and raw supply has come from, that turns into just sort of a rough and tumble amalgam of rocks and boulders sticking out of the ground down at the southeastern corner, leaving you a good maybe 150 feet around for your actual campground area here. But as you come out, passing by the campfire immediately, you would see Mordain sitting with her back to you, but sort of nearby, turn as the flap opened and just sort of motion to Tabitha, or the group of you in general, but she's making a meeting eyes with Tabitha.
Hold on for just a second. Let me go speak to Mordain. She clearly wants more of my rolls. I'll walk over to Mordain and see what she's on about.
Tabitha,
Yes?
I know there's a lot going on at the moment, but you have more of those rolls.
I absolutely do, and I leave them at the table. You are not special, Mordain. You go grab them just like everyone else. I'm not.
The primary performance, the main ticket show of tonight's evening, and I can't get table service one time.
Now, Mordain, we all saw you choke halfway through your performance, and thank goodness you got your second wind. So don't act like this was your best performance yet. I've seen that. So, can you please put it aside while we work on the more harrowing matters?
And she turns to look around, sees one of the roustabouts sitting not too far away. Help! And a couple of people turn to this, and the roustabout looks over, and she just kind of widens her eyes, like, what are you waiting for? Comes and walks over. Is something wrong, Miss Mordain? No, I was addressing you as help. Can you go get me some of the rolls from the table backstage, please?
Cannot. I cast Prestidigitation, and instead of making something tidy, can I make her clothes dirty?
Absolutely, you can.
Yeah, I just want to very subtly cast Prestidigitation, and there's just muck at the bottom of her dress and on her shoes, and the bench around her is also becoming kind of grimy and stinky, and it just follows her.
Want to make me a stealth check?
Sure. I'm gonna do it in the here. I don't remember how to do it. That is a D20. So natural 20 plus 6.
So not only does Mordain not notice you casting the spell on her, distracted as she is, she also, focused on her desire here, does not notice the effects immediately, and is
Oh,
just
but I
kind of-
do. Do I
You
notice
absolute-
this? Do I?
You're looking
Yeah,
at
do-
her, so you would notice it.
Oh. I hiss and I say, "Oh, Mordain, are you not a toddler anymore? We don't do. We may be a circus, but we have standards. You need to go and clean up, darling." Oh,
That's how
and I'll
you
pinch my
walking.
nose. I'll close my snout and I'll walk away and clean my whiskers. I need to go clean myself after.
And she's still in her nice, show gown. So she looks down, as you say that, jumps up from the seat she's sitting on. By Abaddon, what in the gods? Who did this? And vitriol in her voice, and a lot of the circus look at her. Some of them are a little afraid, some of them kind of chuckle a bit. A couple of them, they kind of subtly elbow each other and gesture over to Vera, not in a way that Mordain can see. Some of them might have seen it, but they're not telling on you for sure. You got some support on this one. Couple of thumbs ups your direction.
Ugh. I walk back over and I thought she would be of much better stature than that. That was disgusting. Right, where were you? I'm sorry for the interruption. She always thinks that I'm her taste servant or something, bringing her snacks.
Well, you make amazing snacks, but you serve no one.
Oh, thank you. See, you understand. I appreciate
Definitely.
that. Oh, wonderful. Right, now, where should we start? I've never done this before. Do we just look at the ground?
Well, should we maybe check the carts and the animal pens first?
Yes,
And then
That
maybe
sounds-
move out from there. That way no one can be inside.
Wonderful. I'll start there.
You would have not only the various animal enclosures on either side of the pen, where a couple of the roustabouts, by necessity, are broken away from your main huddle at the campfire. The animals still need to be fed and taken care of. That's not something they can just not do in light of the current situation. But you would know that you also have one other major animal in the group, and that would be Bardolph. Bardolph is a tamed grizzly bear that does a whole variety of tricks and has a big routine. He used to be a big part of your circus's act. Unfortunately, the great Fortunato, his handler, he was robbed and killed in a mugging back in Escadar before you worked off to make the Celestial Menagerie, or to make the Circus Wayward Wonders. Escadar's not a great place. You took the bear with you to save it from the terrible conditions, certainly, that Mistress Dusklight has over at her show, and well, because Thunder really liked the bear, wanted him to be happy.
Oh.
Tabitha, do you have any treats we can give the buddy?
Always.
What
Yes.
a feed him.
I keep some for little chef. Maybe he'll like this cracker made from the best of thyme and flour and honestly a little love. I don't put that in there often.
I'll take it, even though I don't think the bear is gonna enjoy it. But I would like to go feed the bear as we walk by and like examining. I want to see like how his disposition is to see if he's like antsy.
Okay. So coming up to the wagon there, it's many of your wagons are very brightly painted, with frescoes about your acts, and they serve as a large part of advertisement as the caravan comes into a new town and passes down the road. But the great Fortunato still displayed proudly standing atop his stool, just for the height, kind of gesturing as Bardolph dances with a little top hat across him on the wagon, are still fairly well maintained and very visible on the side of the wagon itself. Unlike most of your caravan, it doesn't have like a traditional door on the back. It's got two big wooden panels that latch together but are attached to very thick lengths of rope, about 1.5 feet long. The reason being that from the outside, Bardolph can grab them with his mouth and let himself back into the wagon if he wants to go inside. He's a good
He
bear.
can't let
him
himself
so
out,
much.
can he?
He cannot let himself out. He can let himself back in.
Takes notes.
I
Seriously.
will go. Now, does the wagon have any like windows or anything?
None of them really would, because they are not the fanciest and most expensive wagons in the universe. They're what the show could afford.
Okay, I'll go over and I'll knock on the wagon to not scare him, and then try and open the back. And I have a dancing light with me so I can see.
As you knock on there, Scott Denuso giving out 5 gift subs in the chat. Thank you for that.
Ooh.
That's some incredible support over the top. Love to see it. Thank you for the follow as well, Optimistic Weasel. Knocking on the wagon there. Are you just like knocking and opening it, or are you knocking and...
I'm
Okay,
not gonna wait for the bear to answer.
I don't know what... Stupid question, I guess that's on me.
I mean, I might, but no, not this time.
Not this time.
As you pull the door open, Bardolph, you see huddled way in the back of the wagon, all the way across from this. It would have some little like light slits across the top, so it's not pitch black inside, but nothing you could really like look into effectively. It's still very dim inside the wagon. But he is in the back on his hay bed, very tucked into the corner, like backed up to it. His forepaws sort of hunched up, his snout pointed at the door. And as you pull it open, all of you would hear emanating out from this a very deep...
Oh, buddy, it's me. It's Vera.
Vera, I hate to be the voice of reason here, but maybe keep the door just cracked just a little bit. Maybe Bardolph is just not in a good mood.
It's fair. I put the cracker on the back of the inside, but don't go inside.
As you reach your hand inside the wagon here, with a roar, Bardolph shoots himself forward towards you two with the door. Tabitha and Vera, you're right there at the door. What do you do? As he lunges at you.
Shut the door! Shut the door! Vera!
No, I jumped to the side. I let him out. I want him to I'm gonna let him out.
Vera jumps to the side. Are you trying to shut the door, or are you just coaching?
I'll jump back if I see Vera's jumping back.
I don't want to lock him in the wagon.
And
That's where he sleeps, Vera.
He's angry. I'm not gonna lock him inside.
as Bardolph,
So you let him out?
as he lunges out of the wagon, the two of you jump back. He literally makes a big swipe at you with his paws, before almost punching off of the ground up onto his hind legs, standing. He's a big boy, towering like 10, 11 feet over you. A huge roar rippling through the campground as the crowd over the campfire looks over. He looks down at the group of you, enraged.
Uh-oh.
Something is very wrong with Bardolph.
Now we've got to get him
buddy.
back in the pen.
And I'm gonna need you to roll a little bit of initiative for that, I think.
Okay.
Oh, this bear's on a roll.
I got an 11.
Oof.
Yeah, that's not so good.
Plus your, it would be perception for initiative for all of you at this point.
Right,
Okay.
right.
14 then.
23.
7. With the 23, that was May.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I got a 6.
Well, let's see
Very
what Bardolph.
appropriate, I guess.
Bardolph a little more focused on angry more than forward here, gonna get a 17. So I
Wow.
imagine Bodhi Perp and Olive are a little off to the side here. And Vera and Tabitha jumped back away from this, seeing what was coming, getting a little more distance. And from your angle here, Olive, you see him rampage out. You were the first to react.
Olive would like to jump in front of Tabitha and Vera, and I guess as she's able to, position herself in front of them and pull out her shield, which I should have mentioned is also strapped to her back. Shield and sword. And she's gonna hold her action to... I have a shield block. But she's gonna kind of like wave her sword at him. He's part of the circus family, and especially as like a non-human, she probably relates to him a lot. So she's gonna kind of like go grrr and just not attack.
Yeah, this Ardolph
And she's
would have
3
been a
feet
member.
tall.
He's been a member. You come up to his like knees as he's rearing up here in his back leg. Maybe you can just run underneath him without crouching down between his legs. He's been a part of the circus for longer than it's been the Circus World Wonders. Many of you know him from back at the Celestial Menagerie, and Bardolph is an incredibly gentle and tame animal. Nobody needs to roll a knowledge check or be trained in nature to know something is extremely wrong with them. Even when agitated or sick, he does the opposite of this. He just kind of wants to keep to himself. He moves away from people. He goes back in his wagon. This is insane. So, I forgot this is your first time with Pathfinder 2e, Olive. You pulling your stuff out and moving over. You get 3 actions every turn. That'd be 2 of them. Easy enough. And if you want to use that shield to block, raising it up defensively is an action itself. To ready to protect yourself from an attack. So that'd be your 3rd action, and that's a perfectly valid turn.
Okay, yeah. That works.
Now, you got your shield up, which is good. Because Bardolph's not amused by you down here. And all the way up as he is, he raises his massive paws up and just slams his body down towards Olive.
Okay.
Now, your armor class is 2 higher because your shield is raised. That's just passive. You don't even have to block to get that. And he's going to roll a natural 1, actually. You know, but as upset as he is, maybe his heart's
confused
not
about the
really in it.
olive.
He's very confused.
So confused.
He slams his paws down, almost like on either side of you, putting his face directly, almost nose to nose with you. And opens his mouth
I don't
and
have a
just
nose.
roars. Nose to front of Olive with you. And opens his mouth again and roars. And you just get bare spittle sprayed across your front of Olive. And actually going to be an intimidate check.
Oh,
Which is going to be against your will DC. So whatever your will save is, add 10 to that. And that's what he has to roll to successfully intimidate you.
14.
A 14, okay. He's going to get a 14 exactly, actually. So you... It's a little terrifying. You are now frightened 1. What that means is that you are spooked enough that you're going to take a -1 to any d20s that you roll, attacks, skill checks, anything. But also all of your defensive options, your AC, your saves, everything's down by 1 because you're not fighting at full effectiveness here.
Okay.
And then he is going to lower his head and almost just like headbutt you. Not try to eat you, just slam his head into you and try and fling you backwards. And this is going to be against your Fortitude DC, so it's 10 plus whatever your fort save is.
18.
And it says that this counts as an attack, so it's the second attack of the turn, so
Oh,
he's
wait.
taking a -5.
Would it be 17? Would my save go down one?
Yes,
As well?
17
Okay,
with
so
the frightened, that's correct. He will get a 23, which will launch you
Oh no.
5 feet
Oh
back.
no.
Oh, I
Oh,
gotta set her
that's
up.
bad.
Tabitha, almost into Tabitha's arms here. And deal 4
I'll
points of
catch
damage.
you, I promise.
Okay.
4 points of bludgeoning damage if it matters. I don't know if Leshies have like any kind of Leshy resistance. I don't know if you're squishy.
You know, I should be by the way I describe myself, but technically I don't think I am.
No, Vera, because I realize we didn't really do this last episode with all the things that are going on. As we come to your turn here, what do you look like here? We got an olive description. We don't actually have anyone else's.
Vera is just a average-looking human. She has red hair, just basic traveling clothes. However, she has one violet eye, and there's just something a little off about her. Like, her skin looks a little too porcelain and, like, pale, but nothing too out of the ordinary. She just is a little off, and no one knows why.
Huh.
Yep. But friendly.
And then it is your turn, so then you can also take your 3 actions.
For my turn, I'm gonna cast Shield on myself.
Good start.
And then I want to use Daze as one of my as my last 2 actions, but I want to see if I can I don't want to do actual damage.
Okay.
I want to see if I can just do the wisdom check instead of doing damage.
Daze is actually always non-lethal.
Okay.
It is not a spell that kills people. It is a spell that sort of muddles their mind and brings them unconscious. So it is not going to hurt Bardolph. It might put him down for a moment, but it's actually the perfect spell for a situation where you don't want to injure him.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to do that. Rereading
Makes a will save, I believe.
Yes, it is a will save.
Okay. He is going to get an 18.
That saves.
So is will save is a basic save, and in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I know that doesn't sound like it's a specific thing, but a basic save is a specific thing. What that means is if he fails, he takes the full effect. If he successfully saves, he still takes half. That's that's all things to say a basic save. So he'll take 2 instead of the 4. He will still take a little bit of mental damage.
Okay. And that's it. I should have probably moved instead.
What is that? What does your day spell look like here? What does everyone see?
Everybody sees Vera just kind of like move her hand in a slow pattern, and around him there's just a small purpley mist that circles his body.
And you would see Bardolph as he hits him, as he flings Olive here, sort of punch down a little bit and look across the group of you with a little bit of confusion on his face. And so Bodhi Perp, well, you do the same thing. What are we looking at with this little gnome, and then what do you do?
Okay, well, so Bodhi Perp is he's just under 3 feet tall. He tends to wear a patchwork vest with a purple cloak over top of it. Several pouches and kind of alchemical things hang from his belt, and sometimes on the inside of the vest. He's got sunburned skin, like he's just been outside too long or around really bright light sources too much. Brown hair, hazel eyes. He wears no beard, and the left side of his face has essentially the Leichenberg pattern from as if he got hit by lightning, and it has the fractal going down the side of his face. Other than that, he's just a small little regular guy. And as to what he's doing, you've posed a question that Bodhi Perp is not really. They don't want to hurt this bear. Can I do a circus lore check? See if I know any of his trained commands.
Absolutely. That sounds like a perfect use of that. What do you remember from the Celestial Menagerie?
Hey, it's a nat 20. Boom.
Hey!
27.
Pulling out nat 20s. With the nat 20, you would remember Bardolph had a whole routine that was largely keyed not off so much of verbal commands as what the Great Fortunato was doing. It was a lot of hand gestures. It was a lot of visual things. so that he could still play to the crowd and adapt his show as necessary, because he had some parts where he liked to have a little bit of audience involvement. He literally invited people to come down, almost like the lion tamer thing, and sit under his paw or put their hand in his mouth, and nothing would happen. But you would remember the basic commands that Bardolph had to tell him to sit or to stay or to return to his wagon. Various gestures that he responded to back when he was a big performer.
I think in the kind of fast movement that this is happening, the first command would be down, like to try and get him to go prone. So I'd try to execute that. I don't know mechanically how you want me to do that, but
yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Give me. You've seen it. You were trying to duplicate this by sight, basically. Just you don't know the specifics of how this worked. Why don't you give me I think thievery check feels like it's the most sense. That's your like sleight of hand and manipulation thing.
all right. Here goes. I hope I don't accidentally tell him to attack. 16 said and done.
Okay, 16's pretty good. You do what you're pretty confident is a good representation of this, but in the throes of this fight here, enraged as he is, you're not sure he noticed you would be more of the problem. You're not sure if you have his attention.
Okay. And I think for my last action, I will just cast shield on myself, just in case.
Oh, it's great
Oof.
number 3.
Yeah.
So Tabitha, our illustrious chef, you look like standing here, and then what do you do?
I'm completely flabbergasted at the fact that we have let out a bear on circus grounds without its master. So, I would like to move away from it, but would there be any of his provisions nearby? Is any of his food?
It would be when
noticed-
the rest of the animal feed over a little past this wagon towards the pens, just because they keep most of the animal supplies on the southwestern side of the tent largely together for convenience.
Okay, got it. All right. So, the first thing I would like to do is inspire courage, if I could do that.
Absolutely.
And basically, I let everyone get a whiff of my perfectly made rolls, and that just leaves everyone salivating. Like, the faster that we can get through this, the faster we can get to dinner. And you all get a +1 to your attack rolls, damage rolls, and saves against fear effects. So, there you have it. I'm so sorry you were intimidated earlier, Olive. And then with that, I would like to move as far away as possible. So,
Sounds like a good answer.
what do I have to cross the river? Which direction should I go in?
This spot that you guys are at right here is the little fording for the creek. This is the shallowest part of the creek. You can see these little bits of land even that are coming through. You can ride through this. It is difficult terrain. Each square through this will just be 2 tiles of movement, basically. Anywhere other than this crossing, it would take a little more effort to wade past.
I think I could only make it to about here. So, that is... Am I able to do that?
Yeah, that sounds about... With your speed 25, I assume?
It is. So 10 feet from land.
And then, yeah, that would get you there with 1 action, yeah.
Right. And that is what I'll do. I'll hold from there. I could
You would
do
have
one
another
more.
action. You could move again if you wanted to go
Oh, well,
even
I'd like
further.
to. Then there we go. I'd like to move again. I could probably make it here.
Looks good to me.
Yeah, let's go there. And I want to get as close to his food stocks as close as I can. I'm gonna find some salmon.
Fair enough. Olive.
Okay. If I saw Bodhi Perp, whose last name I'm not going to say, if I saw him do the command that he did, is that just something that happened like during his turn, or does that count as one of my actions to like absorb that?
No, you can see what's going on around you just like as the fight is
Okay.
happening. You're paying attention. This is a kind of a high intensity adrenaline moment. You're
Gotcha,
probably
gotcha.
ingesting information.
Okay, so Olive would like to lower her shield below her eyes, and she's just gonna open her eyes really wide and glare at Bardolph and do intimidating glare. Can I do that back at him if I'm scared?
Absolutely. Yeah, you
Okay.
have a -1 to it because you're
Okay.
fighting one. You can absolutely scare him back.
So that's demoralize, which is an intimidation check for me.
Correct.
And so my +1 will cancel out my -1, right?
Right, so it'd just be a
There we
D20.
go. Okay. It should work. 19?
That's pretty good.
Get
so
scared.
as
Is that what you
he
yell?
burns you,
Get scared!
you glare back at him as Tabitha's already halfway back to the backstage tent at this point. He looks at you, his eyes kind of widen and soften a bit, and he's a little frightened too. Bardo's also going to be frightened one.
Okay, and for my second action, I would like to try and duplicate the command that Bodhi Perp did during his turn. To get down.
Also just doing it by sight, so I'll imagine also a thievery
Yeah.
check.
Which check?
Thievery. Thievery is
Oh,
like
okay. Gotcha.
hand manipulation. I guess deception would probably fit too. Whichever up to you, either of those.
Oh, trained in one of them.
Oh no, I will do thievery because it's a +1 and the other's 0, so 18.
Where are these dice coming from?
Down.
Holy crap! He's definitely paying attention to you. And a little intimidated as he is, you see him kind of scooch back a little bit, almost butt up to the wagon. And you got one action left.
Olive will then take a step. If I take a step diagonally down to like position myself to like back him straight into the cart, could he reach me? Would that be an opportunity for him or anything?
If you step only one tile, you do not provoke attacks of opportunity. So that's
Awesome.
that you can
I'll do
always, as one action, just take one square safely. You step up to this bear, roared at you, and you just yelled back at him, and he's a little spooked now. The frightened condition, fortunately, naturally reduces itself each turn, so you're no longer frightened. You're at this point asserting dominance over the bear here. The fear is no longer on your end. Bardo is gonna back up into his wagon, and as he does, grab the back side of the big rope that's attached to the door with his mouth, and pull the wagon door shut. Put himself back in his house.
And all of it's just like growling, kind of. Grrr.
Olive, you did so good!
I
Are we
protect.
out of combat?
There does not appear to be a threat anymore, so yeah, it seems like you are probably
Do I
okay for the
still-
moment here.
Find the salmon. I would hope I would procure some fish.
Yeah, you can definitely find a small bit of the dried strips of fish, the chunks that are sort of wound together that serves as the base of Bardolph's feed.
I run back to everyone. I found it! You should calm down now! And I'll throw it at the wagon. I'm like, oh.
Just hits the door.
It slams into the side of the door, and I'm like, oh, well. You didn't need me. How did you do it?
When we talked about checking on the animals, I did not think we were going to just release them.
I mean, he's always been calm. That's very unusual for him.
What's wrong with him? He's so ornery.
You think maybe someone got to him, same way he got to the nets of the acrobats?
Maybe.
Very, very true. Should we...
Is there...
Yes, is there a way to find out? We should look around his wagon. See if
Emanating
someone's
out
tampering.
the wagon, you hear another sound from Bardolph. Less of a growler roar and more just kind of like a sad bear noise.
I want to open it.
I
There
give
goes to open
Vera
up the
the
door again.
fish. I give Vera the fish and I say, knock yourself out.
Okay. I'm gonna pick up the fish and like just toss it in real quick and shut the door. Because I'm really scared now.
Alright. Toss a couple chunks of fish in there and slam the door immediately.
Yep.
Taking no chances.
That works. I'll look around the wagon if possible.
As you're scouting around, make me either a perception or a survival check. One of the other three are you doing?
One is certainly most better than the other. Okay.
I would like to look at the access, like the locks and the kind of window hatches to see if anything was forced or determine if someone gained access there without like the proper key or something.
With the design of Bardolph's wagon, the downside perhaps is that it's definitely the least secure wagon that you have against like thieves or vandals. The mechanism in the door, the latch is actually activated by pulling the rope outward. That opens the door. Again, it's for Bardolph's own convenience, and it doesn't have any sort of a proper lock. Literally anyone who pulls this rope would open the door. The security system of this wagon is in fact that there is a bear inside it, and not anything about the door itself. So this wagon doesn't really have that, I guess. But give me a perception check as well. And Tabitha, what did you roll and what did you get?
I rolled a dirty 20.
Okay, pretty good. And was that perception or survival?
Definitely perception.
Fair enough.
I've determined that there's a bear in this wagon. That's it.
Did you get like a 4?
I rolled a 5, so that modifies out to, let me carry the 1, 8.
Yeah, 8. This is definitely Bardolph's wagon.
I made
Take a
it.
note and mark it down. as
You are
Bardolph.
looking over the rope mechanism, trying to figure out if somebody could have forced this somehow, like completely overthinking the concept of how the door works. But Tabitha, looking around, you can see some in the soft earth around the wagon treads here. Bardolph's a pretty big boy. He kind of mars up a bit of the grass around his roaming area. There are some smaller footprints. They look almost like a child's, and they're definitely barefoot. They got bespoke toes. Nobody in your circus, even Mordane's halfling assistant, is running around barefoot, not since the incident. So that's almost certainly not one of your guys.
Ah, yes. The incident where one of our talent came back with 5 missing toes. On each foot. Couldn't walk again. Oh, we all know about the incident. I'll turn to everyone and say, someone's been afoot. Looks almost small, like a child. Someone has been tampering with poor Bardolph.
It wasn't me. That's for sure.
Olive just
I
looks
would
at her
hope.
little feet, and they're like twigs. He just looks back up.
Do I see where like the they're coming from? Can I find a direction?
Further from the wagon, as things do return back to grass and growth, and the much softer earth of the creek bed where it all kind of mushes together, and the sturdier earth over by the trees. The direction definitely leads towards that creek path, but there's no way to follow it beyond that.
It looks like our invader came from over there by the creek. Should we look further?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still want to do like a head check on all of the because if there's another dead person, we should find that sooner rather than later, right?
Oh, are you looking for dead bodies now?
I'd like to know if they're there.
Right. You know, I'm not the expert here. Please decide, what shall we do?
I just
We do
put
have
lights up.
traps.
I just put lights up.
Do you all want to
How-
look around at the other wagons?
While you're looking across the creek here, as you ask this, you can see a commotion erupt out from the tree line. This little bit of forest is where you get your wood supplies, and keeping the campfire going again. This task that need to be done. Some of the roustabouts have to be around working. You see a pair of them jump back out of their skin from this tree line. One falling all the way over, almost fully somersaulting backwards in his panic to get back away from the trees. And the first one, a little more composed, backing away kind of quickly, hands up. Snakes! Snakes! Snakes!
Ugh.
More
I guess
of
that
those.
answers our question for us.
I guess we should deal with the snakes.
Snakes. I am tired of these slippery things. And I'll head over with haste, of course.
Should we let the bear out?
Scramble back.
Vera!
I'm
Do
sorry.
not
You hear their-
let Bardov out again! Did you give Bardov his salmon? You threw it in
Yes. Yes.
there? Okay. Bardov, rest! And then we'll leave. Come on now, no
Hello.
dilly-dallying.
Oh, hello.
All of you did great. Thank you so much for protecting our troop.
I'll do my best.
You're doing great.
Oh,
get
of
the
course
snake.
you shall. You shall. Let's go. And we hurry off and go to the snakes. They are persistent.
Chopping wood is none of your jobs, and I don't know if any of you come to hang out in the general forested area, but even if you wanted to go relax in nature, down here where the roustabouts or wood cutting is not the most peaceable bit of serene experience in the campgrounds here. Around this side of things, you guys probably don't come very often. Some of the recent clearing, as you come around the corner, has actually revealed that there is a small bit of a trail here that is winding its way back into the trees. Just barely a footpath. Not even walked into the ground to be like a dirt track. Just a little bit of flattened grass and a little bit of widened space. But it's very clearly an easily walkable path. Full of horrifying Calliope music.
Creepy, right?
It emanates
Don't like
out
that.
from the path ahead of you. Oh, I hate it. What are
Oh,
you
quite. Quite. This is quite terrifying.
Wait, so we're actually hearing this?
doing? No.
I would hope not.
Okay. Okay. Making sure. Because I would leave. We just leave.
Time to go get a field job, everyone. Goodbye.
Are we investigating the snakes or whether they're still attacking our troop?
Here is where they had jumped away from. It looks like they'd gone to fell kind of a smaller tree near the mouth of this path as they had fled. So this is about where the sighting was.
Can I throw my lights into the tree line and see what we see? I have 60-foot range on them, I think.
Absolutely. Sending those out, they are about as bright as a torch, and it's getting into the later afternoon now. The sun's starting to go down a bit, so especially in amongst these trees, that light is very much welcome and an aid of vision. You would see, all of you, another kind of noodly, spiky green shape worm its way back into the tree. I hate this music. It's so terrifying. About probably 25 feet away from you as it just sort of slithers back away from the light. It's not coming after you like previous ones you'd found during the show. It just seems to want to get away from this. And looking down this path with this light, why don't all of you make me a perception check?
I just heard all of you, and I was like, okay, I'm ready.
Clever.
That is, yeah.
Natural
fair.
20 plus 3.
I was banging out these 20s.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with these rolls tonight. I love it.
Well, don't worry. I'll hold up the rear with an 11.
I'm exactly there with you.
I have a 16. Oh my god, I have +6 perception. 22.
Wow. So 11s, you would be focused on that one snake that had wormed off of the path. 22 succeeds but doesn't critically succeed. You would see that where it was moving away from, right on the side of this path, there is small little tumble of undergrowth and underbrush that has been brought together in kind of an oval shape. It looks like a very wide, 2.5 foot long, almost bird nest upside down on the ground. And Olive, are you trained in nature?
I don't think so, which is kind of weird, but no, I'm not.
And that's what you see. The natural 20, which does critically succeed, sees that a little bit further down the path, right where it starts to bend. Maybe, how far away is this? 30 feet up ahead of you. Just catching the light of Bodhiperp's spell as it passes by, you see a shine across a thin wire. About 3 feet above the ground.
I'm gonna point it out to everybody. Does everybody see that? That tripwire? It looks like something we would walk across, but it's too thin.
Peculiar. Is this
Joshua, Emma. 5 more gifties, you absolute legend. What a chat tonight. You guys are the best. We got a bonus alongside that, by the way, because he didn't just throw the subs out into the group. He also gave us a sawbuck for Ash here for Vera, which you can choose to use to roll 2d20s and take the highest on any check in the future.
Thank you, Joshua.
Those natural 20s can hold on to that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Does this smell like a trap to anyone?
100%.
Dewey, don't cut it. We step over it, correct?
About 3 feet up. Kind of
Oh,
just
no.
go under it.
Oh no.
Olive and I can.
Yeah, you
I'm
guys go
round.
under. We're gonna have to go over.
Just rolling doesn't make her any shorter.
Oh no.
I'll try to squeeze under.
Can I just?
I mean, I'm saying that, not trying. Oh.
Can I just pick you up?
Oh. No one's ever offered before. You
I'm
can
sorry if
pick me
that's
up.
offensive. Okay.
No, you could. No,
You can
being
get on my
hurt
back.
would be more offensive. So you can pick me up.
Okay. I'm gonna help Olive up over the tripwire
So
with my very weak noodle arms.
to give you approach this here, you can see what it's attached to. Running across the whole of the trail, This is connected to a very simple mechanism that is pulling a somewhat younger, limber branch on one of the sides of the trees back around the back side of the trunk out of sight. Were you to touch the trip wire with any real amount of force, the twig it's connected to would break and slap this branch back across the path, which seems like a lot of effort to slap somebody with a stick that's not going to be horribly damaging. But right up close to it here, since you've seen the mechanism what's attached to, you can look around the backside of this trunk and see that that small branch has been studded with tiny, glistening thorns on its front end.
Oh, ruffians! That is sinister.
That's mean.
Goodness.
This means they expected us to search for them, right?
Absolutely. Someone. Ugh. That Madam Dusklight. She's so... petty. Should we look further?
Yeah, Bodhi Perp drops to the ground and army crawls under this thing. And then when everyone's passed from behind the tree, like with my staff, I'd like to trip it so it's not kind of locked and loaded.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You could very easily do that as you trigger it. You hear the sound is cutting through the air as it whips back across the path before balancing itself out. Still kind of a bit bent, a bit off to the side. Again, in your dancing lights here, I don't know if those are still around. If not, just in the regular sunlight. These thorns sparkling, almost looking like they have morning dew on them. And it's about 7 p.m. probably.
Oh, so horrible. Let's find these ruffians and show them what's what.
This is
Do
getting
we see anything else?
A little further ahead, you absolutely would. Not 24 feet further from the bend would this come to intersect the portion of the creek a fair bit further down than where you normally draw your water, well into this little bit of forest and not easily accessible from anything other than this passageway. But it opens up into a very small clearing, no more than just a fair widening of the path against the side of the clearing, against the side of the creek, rather. Contains a small pile of leaves a couple feet across with a thin woolen blanket laid across it. Next to that is a small backpack with a green symbol emblazoned upon the flap.
Do we feel like this might be another trap?
Make me perception checks,
we-
friends.
Wonderful. We all look at it suspiciously.
As you should.
17?
Oof.
Oh, 11. That's how my dice usually roll.
12.
I'm still carrying Olive, by the way. I just never set her down.
Do I get advantage for perceiving from her arms? I have a higher
smaller
hit
now.
point.
Elevation.
Yeah.
Bodhi Burp?
4.
Oh, solid.
Yeah. I did good. Well, I was distracted because Joshua M. Austin donated for a red light, but he says give it to anyone. So I say either a roll off or Squid rolls a d10 and assigns it that way.
Red light is the bad one, right? That's the one we don't want to get. That's
Wonderful.
Red light is the one. So if you
I
have a
mean-
red light, you can use it on someone and
Oh.
force them to subtract.
So
Or
we
somebody
want
else to have a bad time.
I'm the guest.
Okay.
Don't make me do it. Not it.
Well, I'm just going to roll this d6, and if it's a 6, I'm just going to roll it again. It was a 2, which if we go around up from bottom left clockwise is Tabitha. Tabitha would receive that fine red light.
And what does red light do?
And noted.
Wonderful! I can make someone subtract a 1d6 from their roll.
Oh no.
Ooh.
That would be
Can you do
very
that to the
mean.
DM? Can you do that to the GM? GM?
It
I
would
would
be
hope she does
very...
it to the DM.
Okay.
Wait, I can or I can't?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. There we go.
Yes.
You are the
As I'm
object
concerned,
of
it's the
our
only new
desire.
Yes, I hope
love
so.
this
That's
game.
rather rude. Is
Unless
it
you
on
like
you
really
guys?
hate Bodhi Perp. And then,
Actually, that's really good. I've been in that position where I've been like, I wish you just hadn't done that.
You could do it like when Vera opened the door. If she had to roll, you would use a stoplight or red light.
Right. Stop. No.
Please no.
Yeah. That's nice. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for the red notice. Oh, God.
The 17 on the perception check would see that in the earth here, very little has passed by. This is a pretty secluded little grove. But you would find almost identical little bare footprints just spread all over this little camp. Additionally, near the riverbed, close to the water, you would see sets of very strange prints. They look almost like two little webbed duck feet, but less elongated, almost squat, triangular. And where they had walked, there were two lines dragged, almost bracketing them along with them. These are all kind of a must to top each other here, so it's difficult to determine exactly what they might be, or how old they are, or even how many creatures they might belong to.
The bear did it. Oh.
So question. Are they barefoot prints or bare like the animal prints?
yeah.
That's
it's a
No,
valid
they're
question.
barefoot like they got little toes.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. I was like bear, so I was like,
I
did they use
definitely
bar
went
dog?
to the bear
Bardogs.
animal.
I was like, are they tiny
No,
cub
that's
prints?
Yeah.
These
Ash
are
and
like
I are on the same
children's,
page
like
here.
children's
Children's
footprints to get
footprints.
like what you found out by Bardolph's wagon.
Okay.
Wonderful. Okay. Ooh, what were they dragging?
I don't know.
Are we going to touch the bag now?
Maybe very carefully.
That's it. Should I poke it with my staff? I'm gonna poke
I'm gonna
it.
keep asking and keep being disappointed. Is anybody trained in religion?
Not
Not
at all.
Can occultism be
No.
good?
Oh wait, yeah.
You're
Yeah.
trained in religion, voting purpose. All right. As you're gonna touch this bag, the little green icon that's on the top flap here that kind of keeps the thing closed, you can see is a small little curved green leaf with a short stem. It's a very particular shape. It's not just a random leaf. It is definitely the religious icon of Gazra, which is the god of storms and winds and rain. God of nature, but also vengeance.
And that's affixed to the bag, or it's like into the
It's
weave.
like emblazoned
slash
on the
embroidery?
leather. Yeah, it's like embroidered into it.
Okay.
As you poke it with your stick, the bag falls over. That's about all that happens.
Oh, look at here. Look at this. This if I don't miss my guess, this could be like a ditty bag to perhaps a worshipper of Gazra, maybe a druid of sorts, which makes sense with all the animal compartments that are happening here. I don't think there's anything alive in there, but I could be wrong.
A nasty druid running around here, scaring our patrons with snakes. What is their deal with snakes? Ugh.
I wonder.
Do you wonder?
I wonder. Are they upset because we have animals on our show?
Or Madame Dusklight put them up to it.
Could be.
But
What's
they
inside the
upset
bag?
They upset Bardolph. How could they do that if they care about animals?
That's true.
Not a true animal lover. Clearly.
He was so upset.
I wish we could talk to him.
What would
Did
they
you say
gain from... Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just saying, did you say we're opening the bag, Vera, that you were looking inside?
No, I was gonna say, should we open the bag?
Oh, fair enough. You're asking.
I mean, we should, yes. I'll like fumble with it with the stick or with the staff to like make sure it's open before anyone goes near it. Really?
Getting the buckle undone with the stick is a bit of a hassle, but it's not a particularly ornate one. It's a little leather a fixture on the front that you get done after a couple seconds of fumbling. And as the bag is open, you get the lid open. A litany of just smooth, wet river stones pour out of the bag onto the ground in a tumble. What appears to be several pounds of them. And you see the bag kind of sag down a bit, no longer quite as full as it once was. It's laying there with a bunch of rocks sprawled out.
I'll pick one up and say rocks. And do I see anything funny with these rocks, or are they just regular rocks?
They just look like regular rocks that were literally taken out of the creek right here.
Do we notice anything else in this clearing? Can I look around?
Well, as you look at these rocks back at the bag, you see there are some other things in the bag that were underneath the pile of rocks, but it looks like it was vastly majoritively just a bunch of rocks. At the bottom, though, there is a cloth survey map, almost, that looks to be of the town of Aberton and the surrounding environment. It's very detailed, with elevation changes, marks for seemingly every single building, road, and path throughout and around the town, meticulously documented. It looks like it was made by a fairly astute cartographer, but over the top of it, there are a good amount of scribbled notes in a much rougher hand that's almost kind of hard to read, very chicken scratch, letters blending together and also quite small. There's a lot of these markings across the map, noting various places throughout Aberton and noting a lot of things around your campsite. If you look at it and start to figure out what exactly the writing even says, these notes are detailing a lot of the movements and day-to-day of many of the members of the Circus of Wayward Wonders, as they're procuring things from town, spending their days organizing your main opening event. It is disturbingly accurate as to where a lot of your roustabouts, performers, and organizers were spending their time. There's a couple other locations on the map notated as well. A flour mill, a barn, a town church. Not really sure why. There's not a lot of detail on those, but those are clearly denoted separately from the circus's movement. Finally, bottom of the bag, there is a light green feather, about 6 inches long, that seems to be in spectacularly good shape for having been sat under like 5 pounds of rocks at the bottom of a sack. It's held its form extremely well, and its tip appears to be dipped in fine gold. The green darkens as it goes further up towards the tip of the plume, with a dark, almost black, rounded eye at its end.
Does it appear to be magical in nature? Can I perceive that?
Do you have either read aura or detect magic?
No.
I will give you a pass because that's on me. I forgot to tell you new Pathfinder people that somebody should probably have one of those. So I will absolutely roll a perception check on it.
Okay. Do you want me to just use Arcana?
Oh yeah, sure. Arcana would make
It's
more
lower, but yeah, I'll use that. 15 plus 1, so 16.
16 would absolutely be enough for it. It is, in fact, magical and carries an aura of conjuration, a relatively mild one. as it sort of brings out this glamour across the object as you look at it, trying to divine what it does. Trying to identify exactly what it does is a process that would take some time, but it is definitely magical in nature.
Bodhi do you want to take that? It seems magical in nature. That's kind of up your alley.
I could take a peek, see at it.
Also, we should definitely take that map. That's very useful.
Now, we've been here for a while, right? Like, because this was our first show, so we've like kind of been blocking and putting in the pieces while stationary, right? Like as far as the travel circuit.
Like in Aberton, you've probably been been in Aberton for a little less than a week. The show didn't move here until Thunder and the Professor had ascertained for sure that you would be able to perform and had arranged all of that. You basically moved the wagons into town, got your wood, got your supplies, put your stuff together, threw up your big top, and we were ready to go. It is a traveling circus. You deploy pretty quickly. So most of you have probably only been here 3-4 days.
Okay. So this looks like a lot of information for just such a small period of time.
Right? As if they were tailing us.
Anyone noticed anyone hanging around? Like,
can we recall?
Yeah.
Are we able to recall?
Well, Aberton's a small little simple town, and you brought a giant pinstriped big top. There have been a lot of people hanging around. That's a pretty regular thing. It's been a large attraction even before the actual show. So it'd be impossible to single out any particularly suspicious individual.
We are a circus after all.
What about small suspicious individuals?
A great amount of literal children that were extremely excited to see the show, and there are no halflings in Aberton. There are not a great number of them, but a couple have come and taken their looks as well. Their footprints, to the untrained eye, would be functionally indistinguishable from children. Gnomes, too, honestly.
Okay.
This is all so perplexing. Ugh.
You would start to hear music on the wind. You do hear it this time. It's not creepy calliope circus music, but the sound of pipes, fiddles, and horns. A very lively jig wafting out from back towards the campsite around the campfire where the circus is all waiting to make sure it's safe to go anywhere else or open any more wagons.
Oh, we should probably check the other wagons now.
Let's go back.
Sure.
Yes, people probably want to get ready for their evening. Yes.
We'll show the professor that there's something afoot. Sure he'll find this interesting.
Should we bring no, what's the word bring? Should we bring that bag of rocks?
They might just be rocks.
I think they're just rocks.
But who River, they're not even fancy.
Maybe they were just there to hold it down, so they were able to find it later.
Could we assume that, or see if there's anything weird with the snakes? Like they were just everyday snakes that attacked.
Biologically, they just kind of seem like snakes, but similar to the same thing I told you when you checked over the ringmaster. That's not normally how they would act. Snakes like that, even those relatively larger ones, would not. All right, let's go. If you came at them throwing magic missiles, they would run and hide like the one that you shone the dancing lights on moments ago.
Okay.
Something is out here angering all of these animals.
Yeah.
What could it be? And they're tiny. There's little footprints everywhere. What are we dealing with?
Prints.
Just
webbed things.
Don't know enough about animals. I'm sorry.
Right.
Can Olive throw a rock back into the river if they look like they're from the river?
Yeah, absolutely. You toss one in there.
I kind of skip it on the water and look at it for a second.
Not a particularly big creek. It's like 7 feet across. But you could Skip it like down the water
I'm
a little ways.
small.
Not ideal. That's very small hands. That's a good distance for you.
Okay.
There's not much more to find in this site, and it doesn't seem to lead anywhere else, but it's information. Interesting and disturbing at the very least. You're going to be making your way back past this branch trap. The opening of the path would put you back in sight of the campfire again, where this music gets louder. This is a very sort of upbeat, lively jig coming out from this. Like a very energetic dancing song. And indeed, you can see some 50 feet away, a ring of your performers dancing around the campfire, arms interlocked in an incredibly lively fashion, which is weird. This is not a normal way they pass time or grieve or anything. This is very excited, very out of nowhere.
Somebody spiked the
Did they
water?
all know?
It looks like everyone who's at the campfire, basically everyone but you. There's only a couple of roustabouts left over by the animals that are also kind of looking over there, scratching their heads. They are all dancing. And you can see there's a ring and then an inner ring going the opposite direction, merrily hopping around the campfire. And there, I think, perhaps, is a good place to take our interim break for the show.
Nothing wrong with these people.
Creepy!
Thank you, everybody, for the support, the gift subs, the follows so far this show. We are going to take a quick break. I believe is it like 10-ish minutes long? You got the timer there?
12 to 15. Yeah, there's a timer on screen.
12 to 15, yeah. You'll be able to see this little Bard's Bomb that'll tell you. Feel free to refill your drinks, grab some snacks, and prepare yourselves, because the more we learn about what's going on here, the weirder it gets. Don't go too far. We'll be right back, everybody.
Hey, Eric? You okay?
Sure.
Aren't you excited to roll dice tonight on dragons and things?
I guess.
Come on, what's wrong?
It's just... I can't stop rolling twos. It's my curse. Every time I get a new set of dice, after a few rolls, they're ruined. How am I supposed to smash my enemies and destroy all that stand against me if I keep getting curses all over my dice?
Why don't you just get some more dice?
What? Get in my car? Go out into public? Interact with a stranger in an economic transaction? That would never work. Just wish there was some service out there where I could create an account, pay some money, and a company would send me lots and lots of dice every month and I wouldn't have to do anything at all.
Have you heard of Tabletop Loot?
Yeah, they deliver amazing dice and gaming accessories. But what if I got a new set of dice and my curse just ruined them?
No, it's perfect. You just need to sign up for their monthly loot box.
Monthly loot box?
Yeah, you get at least 3 sets of dice every month, plus a few surprises. Once you create your account, you're set. It's only $20 a month.
That sounds like it might just work. I can get 3 sets of dice, I roll one until it gets infected by my bad luck, and then I switch to a new set. But what if I break my curse and I don't need dice as often?
Easy, just change your subscription from quarterly to biannually.
Awesome. I'm gonna head over to Tabletop Loot right after this and sign up.
Oh,
Well, can I use your dice tonight?
oh no. You're cursed.
Sign up today at tabletoploot.com to get your monthly loot box. And make sure to watch Dragons and Things every Friday night on Twitch.
The Tale of Garand and Friends, Part 2. The path was nowhere to be found. Lost! That we were led by a mellifluous sound. That's me! We were chased down a hill, but me, I love a good thrill. Ha! And then we were walking in circles again and again and again and again.
You know, I really don't understand how that psycho Alex got into our party. I mean, who hired her anyway? Someone else should totally kick her out.
I think we lost him.
Alex probably just murdered the town asshole, so I don't think those people are really too concerned.
I think I saw some of the moving, so murder might be a little overboard.
And in any case, I'm sure it wasn't self-defense. So what do we do now?
We'll head to Trapsboro.
To Trapsboro!
See if we can find work there, I guess.
Ooh! Jerky!
I am hungry.
May I, good sir? Little meat for the road.
Oh! Oh no! That's not jerky. How could you? That's the ear.
Why? That's good for you. Can't collect the bounty now anyway, so why let it go to waste?
Oh no.
Oh no! Oh no! We're doomed!
What?
My loot! It's gone! What? My loot! Where's my loot? Where'd you put it? We have to go back.
We are not going back. No, I agree with him.
The loot! We need it!
We're not going back.
We need the
What do you need it for?
How are we to know that evil is afoot without Garand's minor chords to tell us?
We're gonna know evil's afoot because you're touching me.
Stop it.
What? It's okay. It's okay.
Hey.
It's okay. I can. No,
Hey.
I'm sorry.
All right, stop it.
I'm sorry. I deserve the hammer.
Oh,
Kill
God.
me now.
Oh, that is the.
All right.
I agree with Garand. Kill him now. Kill. You are terrific for the task. Commence the killing.
All right. Let's just make camp here, get some sleep.
The middle of the path. Yeah, correct. Good. Yeah, creepy guy, red mask. He's got a rake. He won't just. I think I'll go walk away
We'll
somewhere. I
set
won't walk
watch.
down the path.
You'll take first shift since you're so concerned.
What?
I'm learning that the most important piece of adventure equipment is tissues to wipe away all the tears of my big crybaby teammates.
Mortals!
Oh my God!
Tremble before my awesome presence! Kneel before Jephaximus, Lord of the 18th precinct of the abysmal plane of woe! Do it!
Hey, I am here on business.
Me too. My business just happens to be crushing as many bones as I can in under a minute. Current record is 31.
Hey, I gave you guys plenty of warning, so I don't understand all the hostility.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. The mysterious thunder and laughter is pretty standard for your sinister arrival.
That was like 3 hours ago.
Well, if you factor in interdimensional travel and the fact there's like 1 billion time zones, you get a little late sometimes.
Okay. You have until I start swinging to convince me not to.
I'm here for you!
Oh, carry on then.
Are you Marcus Leslie Wardolph Ignatius Brown?
Yes, that's me.
Well, take this!
And
this bad!
Ooh!
Every time.
Wait! Well, have you seen a loot about Yabby?
So, Marcus Leslie Waldorf Ignatius Brown. What's that about?
My mom named me to get back at my dad for having such a boring last name. Or she was high.
Dear Mr. Brown, we are writing to remind you of your continuing financial obligations to Emerald University of Magic, blah, 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 blah. These idiots have been sending me junk mail ever since they kicked me out.
It says here you still owe 60,000 gold for your last year.
Yeah, well, those cantrip-slinging fairies can have it when they wax my wand.
But it says here that they've sent your case to collections.
So?
So, the collection agency has authority to use your soul as collateral until you start payments.
Well, that explains the demon.
Well, that explains the demon.
Does he even have one of those?
Yes, I have a soul, ass. Where am I gonna get all that gold from? Not rhetorical. Where am I gonna get 60,000 gold?
Don't look at me. I hold very little stock in material wealth. Nature provides me with everything that I need.
You are so stupid. Well, what about you? You gotta be loaded.
I have nothing left but sorrow.
You know, dragons have a lot of treasure. Could always hunt one of those down, slay it.
You know, if you have nothing to contribute, you just shouldn't say anything.
Are you serious?
Shit.
Chicken, bone.
Better give me all your gold, I would have got you. You're making a big mistake, pal. Yeah, why's that? Because I control the power of the universe.
If the atmosphere at your table is less than impressive,
That doesn't normally happen.
you may find it hard to create those magic moments your players crave. Lucky for you, Sirenscape is available for download on your mobile device.
Doctor!
Now that's impressive.
First time! Every time.
Go to Sirenscape.com today to download your free trial and get the right sound for your tabletop games. And don't forget to check out Sirenscape in action every Friday night on Dragons and Things.
Why not?
Timer assigned to us. Just kidding. It's time to do the stream now. Welcome back, everybody, to the greatest roll on Earth. I hope you're ready and prepared for the second half of today's show, because we have certainly set the stage for some interesting events as we draw us into this evening's conclusion. We are slowly collecting clues and information, bits and pieces of knowledge about who or what may be responsible for the attack on our circus so far, and for, well, quite possibly almost everything that's going wrong. But first, there's some weird business going on over at the campfire with literally all of the rest of our circus family. We left right there as we'd head out, seen all of this, and a couple of roustabouts over by the pens scratching their heads the same direction. You're emerging, seeing these dancing rings sort of backlit by the campfire as the sun begins to set through the gaps and the wagons drawn around it. But it's very much out of the ordinary. Oh, perfect. That's perfect.
That doesn't seem right. Where's the music coming from?
It's coming from that ring, from the campfire.
What are they
You
doing?
can't see anyone performing.
We as a circus would have musicians, yes?
You would have a couple, yes. You would have a couple that, a trumpeter and a drummer specifically, that are there to draw attention as part of your advertising team going through town to go into the town square and get everyone's attention, and to play introductions for some of the acts in the shows. You don't have a bunch of fiddles and pan flutes and sounds like an entire assembly of horns.
Okay. And these people, are they playing the music or are they dancing with everyone else?
You can only see. They're all kind of backlit, shadowed. You can make out at least the drummer definitely going around in the circle as well, though. You don't see anyone visibly playing.
Is this a spell?
Yes, let me. Ooh, it could very, very well be. Let me think on it for a moment. What's spellcraft in doing?
It is whatever. It's Arcana or Nature or Religion or Occultism, whatever your particular thing is. This one would be Nature.
Oh, well.
Whatever their thing is. It's the primal effect.
While he's doing that check, can we see their expressions? Do they look like they're having fun?
You can't tell from here. You're about 50 feet back, and again, they're facing, the ring's facing away from you and just sort of backlit by the fire.
Okay.
But as you approach, chaos erupts because Joshua Austin is not done yet.
Oh no.
Oh no.
And you know what is definitely magic is the wild magic that has been thrown out into the party here. Let's the chaos begin, he says. Does he have a target for this? Does it look like a target? Am I rolling a target?
Yeah. This is the random of randoms.
All right, random of random.
Yeah, the big boy.
1, 2, 3, 4. Down the list.
I'm holding up my shield.
This one is for Vera.
Yay!
Let me see. Oh, well, you roll me a d20. I'm not going to roll the d20.
Okay.
You roll me a d20.
I'm gonna do it in the thing because I don't trust my own dice right now.
Okay.
There we go. 14.
Oh no!
I can't make
Chelsea,
it.
use your red light. Use your red light, quick.
I might.
I'm gonna.
What is it?
As you're moving, starting to move over to try and take a closer look here, you hear this entire, orchestral assortment again, mostly pipes and fiddles, but horn support coming out from this. And you are all clearly audibly hearing this. It's not overpoweringly loud, but it's very clear, even this distance. And you start to hear a second kind of conflicting harmony running across and interweaving with that. and you realize that almost cranky, grady organ calliope music is also starting to simply emanate out of Vera.
I'm not doing that.
You're not.
I'm not doing that.
So your body is just putting out sound.
This one's
That's
new.
right.
If I like gently poke her, does she make any different musical noises?
If you poke her a little bit, you hear a bit of a calliope horn squawk, kind of in the middle, as it keeps going, pulling the music.
I poke myself.
It's inside you.
Yeah, the same thing. You get like a flat bagpipe noise as you poke yourself, but the music keeps going. Notwithstanding, it's very unsettling. Oh yes, like you hearing it overlap, just like now you are hearing all of this over the top of each other. It is unsettling and unpleasant.
Is anything happening with the crowd at all?
They're still dancing. They haven't appeared to change. This music is a fair bit quieter. It's definitely lower than the sound coming out from the campfire.
Right.
Well, it very well may be a magic thing, but unfortunately it is not in my purview. It's not of the learned type. It may be more natural or from religion. It might be from the Gozio guy. Might be that crazy druid who I'm assuming is here because of snakes.
Olive's gonna look at Vera and say, "Are you okay?"
I don't know. I mean, when this
Does it
last
feel funny?
happened, I got spells, but not like this.
Am I able to determine the source of this cacophony by brushing into the center of the circle?
Oh, that cacophony, not Vera's cacophony. Fair enough.
Not that cacophony.
As you move up towards the circle and you get up between the wagons, you can see. You see a couple of the people in the circle kind of turn their heads towards you as you're approaching. And you see the professor is part of this ring. Jigging along, river dancing around this circle. He's, again, pretty elderly. He doesn't get around super fast anymore. All these faces are sweat-slicked and exhausted, and the professor just looks desperate. And as he looks and dances by, help us! And he goes by around the circle.
What happened, Professor? Speak quickly.
He's going around.
You have to
ask
run
everyone in the circle.
with him?
Yes.
You have to follow him around.
All of you speak. What are you doing? Jeremy!
I can't stop. None of us can.
Well, Alyssa, how did this happen? Did you eat something?
And he's, at this point, trying to talk and dance. He's starting to, like, almost pant and hack. Like, he can't get enough air in and out of his mouth at once.
What
having a
happens
tough
if I
time.
trip? What happens if I trip someone?
Dominoes, I imagine. So who all is up with the ring here? Who's all up close to this now? Olive and Tabitha, or Vera and Buddy Perp also right up here?
I mean, I'm probably
slowly
on the outside looking in still. I don't know that I want to be.
Yeah, everyone's on the outside. It's kind of a tight circle. It'll be sort of hard to push into, actually. They are like interlocking arms here. What about you, Vera?
I'm slowly making my way over. Kind of concerned about the music. Is it still coming out of me?
Absolutely. So Vera
What
and
does it
Bodhi
sound like when I
Perp
walk?
further back. It's just little bass beats with the music as you're going.
I'm fine
just
with it
little
now.
drum hits.
I have my own theme song. We're good.
FTM a bunch of Roman numerals. I'm not smart enough to translate the numbers, so I'm just going to say LXXVII. Thank you for the follow. Tabitha and Olive, as you are the closest, I need you two to make me will saves. Now, you will get a +2 because of the conflicting cacophony emanating out of Vera.
Okay. I just need you to know that
Choose my
Olive is too
natural
round
guy.
to dance. Oh,
Right.
oh, I never roll this well, but I got a
natural
19.
20.
Plus 4, which is 23.
On the dot.
19 and a 20, you legends. The rolls today.
I don't have
Yeah.
As the two of you move up to the ring, Olive coming up and Tabitha trying to hurry around to talk to the professor as he's rapidly running out of gas, almost now being kind of held up by two people next to him. The two of you feel a compulsion to join into this. You feel a pull. For a brief moment, you consider throwing away everything and just joining in with the dance. But you hold, light everything you found, everything that's happened, and the creepy music coming out of Vera probably helping. A little dissonant. You resist being pulled
25.
into it.
I forgot.
You super resist being pulled into it.
Would I know that this was probably the work of a bard?
It would seem like it, yes. Very likely.
Well, Tabitha, no, I'm curious. I want to say we must find this perpetrator who has done this to our troop. But I don't see them in the ring. I don't see anything proper, right?
Now, it sounds like all of the music, the entire arrangement, is coming from almost the campfire itself, coming from the center of these two dancing rings. You can see through the gaps in people. You can't really see anything but the flies and mosquitoes buzzing around the fire. There is nobody visibly in there. Not from here, anyway. But it's kind of tough to really see through this. And again, it sounds like an entire, half an orchestra here.
I do have detect magic. Could I detect?
You definitely, absolutely detect magic. Yes, for sure.
Can I focus it?
Detect
is it coming
magic?
from? Is it the same as if you got to focus it and get to the actual space, or is it just letting me know there's magic in the area?
In 2nd edition, the basic cantrip is 30 feet around you, magic, yes or no. And actually no information beyond. It's much less than 1E. It is yes,
Wonderful.
no, presence. Okay. Yes to magic.
We'll have to go in, boys and girls. So, right. Are we able to push through the crowd? Are they really tight?
You could absolutely attempt to just sort of force through with an athletics check, or possibly kind of weave your way through maybe with acrobatics. Or
acrobatics, yes.
That's definitely the most straightforward approach.
Can I, knowing that it's magic of some sort, and seeing the foot tappage from them, but not the kind of embracing of the moment, can I pull the 2 water skins out of my bedroll or out of my pack and just kind of wrap them around with rope, like earmuffs, maybe?
Try to dull it a little bit. Yeah, you can spend a little bit trying to rig that up as Tabitha's trying to get her way in here.
Can I make my way over and just start patting myself and try to make myself make as much music as possible as I approach so I can override it?
Have a music fight. Okay.
Yeah. It's a music battle.
Make me a perform check. You're kind of starting to figure out what parts of yourself are making various noises and instruments. You're trying to overwhelm. You're trying to bard it up with your new power.
Wait. Can I help if I see what Vera's doing? Can I help by poking her legs or somewhere I can reach and also make noise?
I have a 23.
You can definitely help out. 23 is absolutely going to start to make this much more raucous circus music that's kind of blasting over this jig here. Just honks and toots and angry clarinet noises just sort of piercing over the top of this. So, Tabitha, you were trying to acrobatics into the circle here?
Yes.
Trying to add many moving pieces here.
Right. Oh, that is a 16. Yes, that is a 16.
16 will be pretty tough, but you're fairly lithe limbers. You can't pull here. You're able to sort of duck in through this outer ring and just kind of bob through the middle one. End up a couple feet back from the campfire in the center. And at the middle of this, as Vera's music's kind of falling a little bit behind because you're at the epicenter of this strange gig. You see something. Oh, you think you figured out what's wrong. Perched on the side of the campfire are two, I'd say bugs. I don't know if that's the right word. They definitely look like fairly large, maybe 6-7 inch crickets. Their body kind of an orange brown. You're not sure how much that is their coloration versus the flickering light from the fire here. And the two of them are sat on the edge, also bobbing with the music, each of them rubbing their two pairs of back legs together, which appears to be making the entire song. Now, burying the lead perhaps, but where the cricket's head would be is a human torso. It's like a cricket centaur.
Ew.
One of them, upright, great smile on his face, leading this song, his arms just kind of waving and dancing as well. A set of wide, almost butterfly-shaped translucent wings coming out from between his shoulder blades. The other one across from him, a woman with long black hair that runs down across her thorax. This is sort of snapping with the tune as her legs go as well. And both of them turn to you, Tabitha, as you get into the center. And the female one, immediately her face lights up and her wings beat and she lifts up off the ground to a couple of inches in front of your face, maybe like 6 inches back, her back legs still playing the music. Oh, by the gods, it's the chef, it's the master from the show. It was Tabitha, was it? I'm your greatest fan. What a fantastic performance that was.
I just let out this deep sigh. And I just close my eyes and pinch my claws right into my eyebrows, and I say, "What are you doing? You're haranguing my troop."
Haranguing? We're trying to help as we can. I'm Teresia. Sorry, where are my manners? I'm starstruck. This is my mate Kanano. Everyone's having such a good time. She kind of gestures around to the horribly beleaguered dancing troupe that you have all around you.
Teresia. Kanano, was it?
Oh, she knows our names now, Kanano! And as he's still kind of dancing, he looks up. It's a wonderful evening for us all, to be certain. You were masterful.
I'll try to do a diplomacy, and I'll say, as true professionals would know, there is a time for dancing and performance, and that is when an audience is present, not here during our rest time. And hopefully that can convince them to stop with their... Oh my god. Okay. 17.
You have a knack for exact lethal. Just 16 to push through the circle and 17 to diplomate these lads. You're exactly where we need to be every step of the way. Rocky SP24, thank you for the follow. As you speak to them, the faces kind of drop, and Teresia sort of stops. Her legs, dance music stops. Her legs just kind of hang in midair, and outside the ring, you hear several of the instruments drop out of this arrangement that's coming in. What are the three of you doing out there at the moment? You've got your headphones on by now, Bodhi Burp.
Yeah. You're like, what are they saying? What is it?
I cast message if possible. Can I cite them?
Yeah, you can see them outside the ring for sure.
I tell them these creatures were putting on a performance. So far, I believe nothing more. Try to make your way in so you can get a better look.
I'll keep making my way over and poking myself as long as the music works.
Do they stop dancing when the music stops, or?
Well, Ganano is still playing. So music's still going. The rings are still going. And Vera, I don't think you've... Vera and Bodhi Perp, if you're coming in, need some will saves from you. Between Vera's folk music and Bodhi Perp's earmuffs, I'll give you a +4 to your will saves.
Okay. So a +4 on top of our plus already?
+4, and yeah, whatever your normal will bonus is, and then another 4 on top of that.
Natural 20 + 9. I don't know what's happening.
Listen, she's doing it in roll 20. She can't lie. I can see it right there.
It was just there.
You
I'm an
don't even feel. So, Harry, you don't even feel this compulsion at all. Bodhi, as you hear this music through, you start to feel the pull a little bit, but you can wall out as well. In the middle, as you start to try and work your way in, the rings are slowing down a bit. Theresia, we were just trying to help everyone have a good time. You brought us such wonderful entertainment.
Now, Theresia, I'm always happy to bring my patrons joy, but it is very unbecoming when you bring too much joy to the party. Look at their faces. They are sweating from exhaustion, not joy.
And Kanata starts kind of slowing down. The music is like losing tempo and drooping as the ring starts to slow down, making it fairly easy for the rest of you to get in here. And she just, Theresia looks down. Oh, no, stop. We're not helping. I'm sorry.
It is not. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
We just wanted to put a smile on your faces like you had on ours.
Theresia. And I'll put my hand on her shoulder. There's always time in a...
Tiny cricket shoulders. You got like a centimeter
Oh,
of
she has...
shoulder.
Oh, so are they like medium or are they...
They're tiny.
They...
They're like a 7-inch being. He is like flying up in front of your face right here. No, sorry. Yeah, they got like a 7-inch little cricket body and a tiny little torso.
I thought they were so much bigger.
No. I led with like 7 inches, I'm pretty sure, but then we got distracted by the horrifying cricket description.
We got distracted.
That's on me then. I guess I messed up. They are this big in front of your face.
I thought a giant human-sized cricket with a half-human body was in my face.
No, it's a tiny little cricket centaur, like 7 inches long. They are small little lads.
I hold my hand out and I say, now, dear, I always appreciate a good performance, and I would love to see more. But now is not the time, but there's always time later. But you can help us. I believe you definitely, most certainly can. Kanano!
And she... The lights on your hand, her little fully cricket feet just kind of wrapping around the outside of your hand. Kanano looks up at you, so kind of dejected. Oh, yes?
The music was quite lovely.
And as it stops, and this enchantment fades, domino effect rips out the performers. As people start dropping from exhaustion, knocking down the people their arms are still interlocked with, the whole of your performers just collapse into a big circular heap around the campfire, panting and swearing and sweating. Makata looks over the rest of you. Oh, it's more of the main stars. Truth be told, I'd really hoped to meet Miss Mordane out here. But you were spectacular. We're sorry. Where's the thing? I have something for you, a gift if you'll still take it from us.
Absolutely, I love gifts.
And he reaches down into a crook in the flagstones of the campfire and pulls out a little crystal, shaped just about like a D8. Little octahedron, a very light, translucent blue, with each face inscribed with a tiny, very simplified little arcane sigil. capped with a very small little piece of brass and a length of thread about 8 inches looped out from it. The whole of this little trinket is maybe an inch across. He has to carry it in both hands because it's quite large for him. And he flies up to whichever of the other 3 of you may be nearest and reaches up to grab the twine so he can kind of dangle it in front of you. Here, it's... Well, truth be told, I'm not entirely sure what it is, but it's a pretty little magical thing, isn't it? We wanted to give you something.
Bodhi.
Do they want to be in the show?
Bodhi, please, remove your hands.
I'm gonna help pull off the water skins. As I make more noise and a cacophony, because I'm touching things.
Well, I guess he hands this to Olive then, as she is the one not currently occupied. He flutters down in front of you with this little crystal.
Thank you. It's pretty. And she's gonna like
to our
turn.
show. Right.
Yes! We were sitting about among the rigging up top, watching down from on high. It was a lovely performance, Philly. One of the most wonderful we've seen in several of your lifespans, I believe.
Did you pay?
Well...
Do I remember
No.
taking their tickets?
You would definitely not have taken tickets from a couple of 7-inch cricket people. No. Cricket centaurs. Absolutely not.
How would they carry a ticket?
They're 7 inches high. They could definitely just worm their way in the eaves. They could have just slipped in there.
The world is their oyster at this point.
Yeah, they go where they please.
Just go where they please. Well, you could pay us with information. I'm sure you see quite a lot of things. I'd hope.
We watched your whole show. It was wonderful. Are you wanting feedback? Reviews? I know you... It's always interesting how much you mortals dwell on the past. You're upright thinking about things that have already happened that you can't change. That and your little coins.
Oh, well, not necessarily feedback, but information. I wanted to see if you've seen any strange snake behavior, or animals, really, around the area.
Teresia is still in your hands. She wouldn't have laughed if her own... Oh, yeah, you have your hand up. She's still in your hand. Well, you see, we don't get along the best with snakes. On account of... She just kind of gestures to herself.
Quite.
Quite dangerous to our kind, really. Fortunately, we can sit above about out of reach, and they're delightfully slow, fun to toy with sometimes. There've been quite a bit of them around here recently.
Recently? You've been toying with snakes recently around here?
Whenever we can find them, really. It's good fun. But there were... Over in that little bit of a patch of forest over there. That's where we were staying watching you set up your tents for the last few days. Really enjoying the show before the show, as it is. It's been so entertaining. There's been quite a big nest of them there that have been, well, a bother. We didn't go down to the nest, of course. I take the risk of messing with so many. But the single ones splitting here, hither and yon, fun to play with sometimes. So delightfully dense little snakes.
They seemed a little more vicious as of late.
Konono speaks. Oh, they're always vicious. Hateful little creatures, aren't they? I've never met the one that didn't try to put me in his mouth.
That's very true. You know, I couldn't ask that question. But have you seen anything else? Like little mortals running around. With feet, barefoot and whatnot.
Those are your young, aren't they? The ones that come out all half-sized and bright-faced?
Tell me more. Have you seen them around?
Lucia kind of hacks her head. Isn't that the thing you mortals do? You have to, well, you live such terribly short little lives, you have to get together and make more of you. And that's just how they come out, I thought. I don't know, never really bothered to put much thought into it. They're adorable little things sometimes, though. Just seems confused by the concept of children.
Right. Well,
aren't we all?
have you seen... Oh, sorry. Did someone say
Go
something?
ahead.
Oh, okay, good. Have you seen any of our young running around that patch of forest? Or around where you were, watching us from the trees?
Oh, there were. As this conversation goes on, they're starting to their faces, they're crestfallen when you told them to stop, and they picked up a little bit when you engaged with them, but they're starting to kind of fall back down again. There have been, well, plenty of them flitting about the tents and all that, but well, we enjoyed your show. I don't want to take much more of your time, but we're terribly sorry about the whole thing. Come on, Theresia. And the beat of his wings, Konono starts to lift up to the darkness, and Theresia just kind of looks up out of your hand. Didn't mean to cause harm. I hope you won't think ill of us.
Before they leave, can we do an inspiring courage for them? Or let me see. What do I have? Yes. Can I inspire courage and tell them that they clearly just misunderstood and we're very happy to have them back for more of a performance. Just check in with me first.
Oh, you're some of the most wonderful tall folk we've ever met. Tonight's been a night to remember. Thank you again. And flits up off your hand and turns, kind of blows a kiss to the group of you, and then flies away off after Konono. But as one leaves, another enters. Griggs may have left us for now, but Joshua M. Austin, unstoppable force, with an ace note for every one of you, which is add a D6 to a future roll. Just a bit of power.
Joshua.
Thank you, Joshua.
Thank you.
Where's my cheer noise?
Oh,
And
I'm
as
chopping.
Yay! Tiny fanfare. As the group of your performers is around you, kind of starting to overcome their exhaustion at this point. Nobody has stood up. Even those of your roustabouters, your workers who are more in shape, they are just absolutely beat by this. The dancing was extremely vigorous, and those of you with many level of magical knowledge would know that magical compulsion to do anything can very easily push you beyond your natural limits. It overrides that inhibition. It overrides the tired feeling. Every bit of your brain telling you, please stop. Being forced to continue by this could be far more exhausting than doing it of your own will. But the professor kind of nearby sort of rolls his head over to you. Thank you. Dear gods, thank you. How is the investigation going?
While we have everybody, whose bag is this?
I'm sorry. He kind of opens his eyes and looks at the bag that you have. I don't know. Oh. You know, I suppose I can go one night without a wagon. I might just rest my eyes here for the evening.
Oh, you shouldn't. You're very old.
Oh, we're going to check the wagons right now.
Sorry. I'll have you know. Well, that's I have not the energy to argue with you right now, honestly. So, I suppose that lends credence. You hear a different voice from the southeastern pens, the further set of wagons. Less of a voice and more of a laugh, kind of cackle rolling out of the group. And look at this! A circus of wayward fools brought low by the cavorting of a couple of fey creatures. How pathetic. You can turn. See a short figure here, maybe 3.5 feet tall, drawn about in a brown cloak. And as she kind of steps around a wagon into light, the ears pointed atop her head come into relief as a headdress, what it looks like the top half of the head of a giant rat perched on her skull, drawn about in bits of leather and hemp strapping, rough and undyed, and she looks dirty and unkempt. But she has a large, gnarled wooden staff in one hand, a wicked, jagged sickle in her other. You hear the leaves and the grass around you start to rustle as you look down and see hundreds of rats scurrying about in every direction around the campfire before they all sort of retreat like in a big singular wave motion back towards the woman. Their snarling laugh. What a pretty sight! I had hoped to murder more of you while the whole town was watching that. Would have frightened them away here from here for good. But a bigger slaughter might even be better. Those foolish farmers and poisoners of Aberton will discover your rat-chewed corpses. No one will know how it happened, but everyone will whisper that nature is taking its revenge. And it is through me. I wager most of the town will be gone in a week. The rest will fall easily. Then perhaps the land can heal from the cancer they call Aberton. Looks down to her side. You see one massive rat next to her. Its shoulder about level with hers. Beady red eyes glimmering in the firelight. She kind of pets him with the butt of her sickle. It looks up, just teeth and hate towards the group of you. Still 30 feet back at the campfire.
So we recognized... Yeah, sorry.
Oh, sorry. You want to destroy the town. You could have just asked.
I should have
asked. Asked? These Aberdoran fools cast aside their heretical principles to understand the irreversible damage they've caused. Ridiculous. You're all like this. None of you any better than any of the others. No sooner did you arrive here than half of this fine growth removed to erect to a monument to sin. She just gestures with her staff out towards the big top behind you.
I recognize this as Madame Dusklight.
This is very much not Madame Dusklight. Madame Dusklight is also a catfolk, much like yourself. Kind of dark, gray fur, relatively
She's a
tall.
rat.
This is a little halfling rat woman.
This is a little halfling. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Alright.
I've got a rat hat. She's very definitely a halfling.
She's got a lot of rats. Okay.
Starting to think that this is the one that killed the ringmaster.
If the damage is irreversible, what will you gain by hurting them? By hurting us?
The damage is people and civilization. There's no way to heal it beyond removing it, excising it from the world entirely. Nature cares not for your construction or what damage you may wrought. She will heal. Gazra wills it. I'm tired of this. She kind of raises her staff and points forward. Feast upon them, my children. Feast and bring them that ruin. And you hear again, you can see the wave of movement around her as the hordes of rats rush forward. Here, my friends, I'm gonna roll some very serious initiative.
Uh-oh. But why did you give us a bag of rocks?
Explain the rocks, lady!
That was very serious.
Oh no, much lower than last time.
15. You know what? No,
Oops.
I'm gonna use my. I'm gonna add a d6 to that. Can I do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Who said?
Plus
So
3.
you were the 15 plus 6, so 18. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Wait,
Boom
so
stealth.
is perception always the same thing as initiative?
Perception is almost always going to be initiative. In
Okay.
the vast majority of cases, yeah. It's no longer its own stat.
Gotcha.
Yes.
14 then.
Alrighty, 14. Odipur?
22.
Ooh, that's pretty good. Tabitha?
20.
Ooh.
Pretty solid initiatives here. A horde of rats is going to get a 16. Particularly large rat. The size of like a Doberman here. This thing is huge. Going to get an 11. And
Love that for us.
that's pretty good for you guys. The halfling druid, who seems to be almost certainly the root of a great many things, going to get a 19. So, Bodhi-perp, as you see this wave of rats approaching, you would be the first to react.
Ooh, you know who probably hates rats? He looks around, kind of panicked. Can I use prestidigitation to lift a certain, or slide a certain lock out of a certain bear pen?
What's the range on prestidigitation?
You've asked a question. Let's see here.
We're gonna find out.
Oh, it's only 10 feet.
Ooh, 10
Yeah.
feet. Yeah, Bardolph's
Aw.
wagon's probably like 60 feet away.
You have to make a run for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll use one action. No, I'll use 2 actions to move towards Bardolph's tent, or wagon, rather.
It's across the creek from you here. So
Yep,
you are either
we're-
going to have to use your tiny little gnome legs to ford across that creek or go all the way around. Either way, I would say, let me look at this on a grand scale here. I would say if you spent all 3 of your actions, you could get within range, press the digitated next turn. It's
What
pretty good
if-
distance across the creek.
What if I counter with this? I've got my quarterstaff and a pretty decent acrobatics score. What if I pole vaulted the creek? I don't want to interact with the cage this round, but I want to interact next round, but I want that third action or something else.
Okay, if you pole vault the creek and then stride from there, you could get right up to Bardolph's wagon. So you could even open it just manually if you wanted to from there. But it is going to be for a long jump that is an athletics.
All right, I'm gonna risk it. Worst case scenario, I float down the creek. I don't know. Let's see. Odie just turns and starts running towards this creek. 13 on the die plus athletics, 16. 1-6.
Wow, you trained in athletics?
Yeah.
I'm proud of you, Tiny Wizzy. Most people just forego that and then proceed to fail all of them whenever they try to do anything. You have made me proud. With that, jumping only really like 10, 15 feet of creek here, it would absolutely be enough to send Bodhi-perp across the creek. And then with that third action, running off over to Bardolph's wagon. Tabitha, your turn.
I watch as Bodhi-perp runs away. Oh, goodness. But I see this huge swarm of rats. Oh, God. Oh, what should we do here? I will pull out my... I don't know if... Oh, what works for the swarm? I'll pull out my paring knife. I'll have that ready. And I will go ahead and I wonder how long this lasts. Oh, it only lasts for a round. I'll hold on to that. We really need to rest.
Well, it seems like here is the problem in front of you, so that may be very viable soon. Also, I know you got first edition brain. Swarms are not straight up immune to melee damage like they are in first edition. They are resistant to it, but you can just hit a swarm with anything in 2e.
Okay, because I was like, oh god, a swarm. This is my nightmare.
That was first edition turning there. I'm like, oh, it's not that bad anymore. Don't worry.
Okay. Thank goodness. All right, so I'll pull out my paring knife, and then from there, I want to try to... We said that Where did Bodhi Pup go?
He ran about 70 feet west over toward Bardolph's wagon, sprinting for it.
Oh, you're
I'm
gone.
a brave
Okay.
wizard. He left us.
Very brave.
Bravely ran away.
I'll say I'll probably have nowhere to go until they're upon us, basically. The start of your next turn, blah, blah, blah. I could do guidance on someone. Who's closest to me?
You can ready an action like you do in 1E. It works a little differently. If you want to use one action to draw your paring knife, readying is 2 actions to basically give yourself a reaction to do whatever it is you want to do, be that attack, anything that's 1 action you can ready. It doesn't mess with your initiative like first edition does. It's just whenever you want, you can do that out of turn once. 2 actions to set up.
Right. Okay. I would like to ready an inspire courage. When I see one of them attack, I want to be able to just be like, boom, at least give them a plus to something. But that's my turn. I don't want to move.
Absolutely a thing that you can do. The halfling here, as she sees the group of you, as she puts her staff out and the rats begin to simply stampede out from them. Smile on her face. I should really thank those strange little creatures for making this so easy for me. And raises up the staff with a sickle, putting them against each other. She puts her fists together. Planta-ratio! And slams her staff into the ground, and you see this moving mass in the darkness in the distance start to writhe up towards you. And you realize as it comes into the firelight, it's not the rats. It is the plants themselves. As the grass and the weeds around your feet, around the campfire, start to extend and writhe up, reaching and extending and wrapping around your legs and your feet and around all of your prone companions on the ground, grasping to lash them in place. And as it starts to pull at all you as the rats descend, she simply continues to cackle. I'll save this isle yet! Vera.
I would like to take an action to move into sight, so that I'm within 30 feet of this rat druid. And that doesn't mean, like, even if I get, like, up to the swarm, I want to be within 30 feet.
30 feet, conveniently, is right there. You can see between the wagons over the swarm. Still with a somewhat comfortable distance there.
Alright, as I walk up, there's, like, a weird calm to Vera right now. And around her, that feeling of sleep, like when you've just woken up and your body's kind of numb, if anybody's around her, they're starting to feel that. And with that, she casts Grim Tendrils, which has that same cold energy come out from her fingertips. And anything within a 30-foot line has to make a fortitude save.
All right. You can absolutely rip this through the ensuing tide of rats and the rat druid behind them. And as this is an area effect, it is going to do bonus damage to the rat swarm. Fortitude save, you said?
Yes.
Ooh, the rat swarm is not good at that.
All right.
Oh no.
They're going to get a 7.
Okay.
What is your spell DC?
17?
Since that is 10 lower, even though that wasn't a natural 1, it was actually a 5, that is going to critically fail.
Awesome.
So they will take the critical failure effect from that.
Which is double
Druid.
negative damage.
Get him.
The druid gets a 25.
Ugh.
So, is that a critical success?
That's not 10 higher, so it's only a
Okay.
regular success. It would have to be a natural 20 or a 27 or higher to critically succeed.
Perfect. So the rats are going to be taking double negative damage and double persistent bleed damage, while the druid is going to take half negative damage. So that is 2d4 or 2d4. So
D4
that's,
doubled, right?
so that's 2d4, which is I got 4.
Okay.
Is there anything additional on top of that?
The rat swarm is going to take an additional 3 points of damage because this is a crowd of regular rats, and this line is going to rip through a great number of them. And as they're all kind of surging up at you, it goes straight down this line. Your critical damage ripping through the mass and almost dissipating the horde entirely. As the druid in the back will take 2 points of damage. And then kind of step a little bit back for that, just barely at the end, and sort of grimace as you obliterate her rat army in a single stroke, nearly.
Entropy only works for nature, not those who create it.
What would you even know about how nature functions? You twist the whims of magic to your own wicked desires! And left of this horde of rats is going to continue up to Vera and begin to swarm and hop up, leaping and biting with tooth and claw around
With my
her.
last action, can I cast shield?
You
'Cause it's only
move and then Grim
Oh, I moved,
Tendrils
you're
is
correct.
free. Right.
Yes, that is correct.
Sorry. Make me a reflex save. To be fair, the shield wouldn't help you against the swarm anyway. It's a reflex save because there are so many of them attacking you. You can't intelligently defend yourself.
Okay, so that is a... let's see. 24.
24 will regular succeed. You will take half damage, which is 2 points of piercing damage. But I need you to make me another reflex save, as they have 2 actions to swarm on you here.
Okay. 11.
11 will fail. So you're going to take the full damage from the second swarm, which is 6
Ouch. Okay.
points of damage.
Help.
Olive. You see, they're bleeding for how much?
1. 1, let me double check. It says 1 persistent damage to living creatures on the line. So just 1.
Is that double because they critically failed?
Yes. So they take 2. 2
That's
bleed.
how much health they have. So with their death throws,
Yay!
they cast themselves up at Vera as these rats drop and fall around her. Those few that are left skittering and dispersing under the wagons, no longer a threat. And then it is Olive.
Okay. Can I pull out my weapon as I move, or does that have to be its own action?
It is its own action in 2nd edition to draw your weapon.
30. Okay. Well, unfortunately, I am small and my movement is only 25 feet. So, Olive will step in front of Vera. 5, 10, 15, 20. Oh, yeah.
20 feet?
Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. Perfect. I'll actually move one forward, I guess, diagonally forward, so there's a little room. That'll be the full extent of my movement. Yeah. So there's a little room to get around. And she will use... Tell me if I need to use an action to pull... So I have a ranged attack called Seed Pod, which I guess is like part of my body.
Right. That is actually just an unarmed strike. So you can just do that. You don't pull anything else out. You just go whap and seed pods fly forward.
Okay. So I will attack the big rat with my seed pod. Which I guess I'm gonna say comes out of her hand. She's gonna do a little Spider-Man attack.
Make me a ranged attack roll.
10 plus 6, 16.
16 will hit. It's a pretty large target, this rat, and rats are not particularly hardy. That'll hit it.
Okay. Unfortunately, it is just a seed, so it's just a D4.
Damage is damage.
2 damage to the rat.
Okay.
And then, I guess I'll pull out... Can I pull out both my sword and shield as one action? Or do they have to be 2? If they're both
Legally, no. But I have always played if you have a sword and shield or 2 weapons, you can draw them as one action because there's no like combined action to do that, and it's just like unnecessarily painful for people with 2 weapons. Otherwise, so yeah, you can get your sword and shield out as one action.
Thank you. I would like to do that for my 3rd action.
Now, this rat, as it takes the seed pod to the face here, is going to kind of recoil back from it, and then let out a shrieking hiss as it leaps from its position in front of the druid towards Olive as she pulls out her sword and shield. And he is honestly probably bigger than you. And
my reaction has gone off, right?
You can absolutely use your reaction. Yeah. You can tell me whenever you want to use the
+1 on there. Yeah.
+1 for your attack rolls and any saves against fear, I believe, is what Inspired Fear
Yes.
says.
Okay. Attack rolls and seems like it's just attack rolls. And I'll
It's mostly
attack and
offensive.
damage rolls. And damage rolls.
Oh yeah, damage. So we'll do one more to that rat. I'll put one more on the rat for sure.
Yes.
And as he leaps towards Olive, fighting at you with an 11 against your armor class. Not fantastic. That hits you, I'm going to be very disappointed in your character.
No.
But as you get your shield up and he gnashes once, he's kind of set upon you now. You fighting off this rat is almost the equivalent of regular people trying to fight off the grizzly bear with the size differential here. He's definitely going to try and get his thousand. You did fine there, honestly. And you're doing fine here, too, as he is going to get even lower for the second attack. He can't get his teeth on your round, smooth little body. You can't get any grip.
Listen, watch out. Next turn, I'm going to look at him. Just kidding.
Which brings us back to...
Look at him hard.
Oh.
Lodi Perp, my good friend.
Okay. I reach up with my little gnome hand, and I pop off the latch, holding our bear friend in his wagon. And then, I guess, second action, fling open the door. And then third action, magic missile the druid.
Oh, that's got big range. You can absolutely do that. Yeah, that's got like 120-foot range or something like that.
Yep.
So she is just going to take a magic missile to the side of the head for D4 +1 damage.
And knowing my luck, it's
I'll
3
say
damage. Could have been worse.
Pretty good.
Get in there for sure. Tabitha, with the group so inspired, what do you want to do?
With my paring knife drawn, I would like to move. I wonder if I can get. Am I able to get to the druid themselves? Let me see.
25-foot speed.
So
Two
I can
move
get.
actions.
And then a stabby stab.
Yep, that's 3 actions. That is a thing that you can absolutely do.
How dare you attack my patrons! They only came for a good meal. I'm out of spells if you can't tell. Alright, I'm gonna roll. That is a +5 to hit. Please hit. 16.
16.
+1. 17.
17 as you swing your knife down at her. She's pretty low below you and is going to kind of just duck down with her staff and barely dip underneath that attack, avoiding it. I was trying to fix the tokens here, and I have ruined the initiative table. Let me fix them. Trying to frantically fix that real quick.
I got her number. I'm upset about it, but I got it. Okay, and that's all I can do.
And that bring us to her, because it was you and Bodhi Perp that were before her. Something more or less like this was the order. She ducks under that. What? Do you have any armor on, Tabitha? You wear armor?
No! I never thought about that. I think I have, like, light. I have studded leather. I do.
Studded leather, okay, fair enough. She is going to turn to you, brow kind of furrowing, and as you sweep at her with your little knife, she's just going to kind of defensively swipe at you with her sickle.
Huh.
Hooking this jagged thing up towards you for a 23 to hit.
This one. Hey, I'm gonna use that, wait, what is it? Yeah, I'm gonna use my, oh god, I forgot already. I'm gonna use my red light on her. I'm sick of her.
Yeah.
Minus 1d6, roll me a d6. Make it up 23.
Oh my god. So,
get a 6.
I'm gonna go ahead, pray to the gods. Does this not hit? Oh god. Oh, I did an exclamation. Shame on me. I'm so used to Discord.
It's a 6!
Oh my god!
Yes!
Wow!
Yes!
Bringing it down to a 17 and missing.
Yes.
And,
yes.
as she fails that, you jump back miraculously from this swipe. She sort of snarls, "You will learn to fear and respect this world. It is greater than you. Demand me!" And as you cast that spell, you see her face sort of warp and distort. Her eyes sink back into her head. Her jaw drop and distend, a horrifying visage on her face. Make me a will save, Tabitha.
Oh god, she's doing a lot. Okay, let's do that.
Do you
will
have courage?
Save. Sure! No, I don't.
This is a... You didn't do it last turn, so it'd be gone now.
Oh, it's
It ended on your turn.
Yeah, it's only one round, unfortunately.
No.
You can do it
All right.
infinitely, because it's a cantrip, but yeah, it does not persist.
1d20 plus 4. Oh! It's a 10! I had to pay somewhere!
10? Just barely... Well, that just barely, by 1, again, does not critically fail.
Okay.
The only regular fail.
Regular fail.
Pass.
Oh, thank God.
And,
so what's the regular fail like so I can decide if I want to, like, add to my...
Well, you gotta tell me if you're adding before I tell you
That's
what it
true.
does.
How many of these do I have? I got 2, right? Yeah. Let's use 1. I'm gonna add a d6 onto mine.
It's one-off critical failing. A d6 isn't gonna help even if you get a 6.
Oh, okay.
I'll save you that one. Because you're 9
just
off.
go ahead and take it. Appropriate.
As you look down at her, you feel pangs of fear shoot through your body. You are frightened too. So there's going to be a -2 off of everything you do and all of your DCs.
Well, I'm frightened, y'all.
Zero.
Am I able to get within, like, up to her? Or am I too far? Up to the druid?
With one move, even.
I will do that. And then I want to grab her arm and use Chilled Touch. Which, when I do that, that same dread sleep comes around and will go through her. She needs to make a Fortitude saving throw.
As you go to move up to her now, as a round is passed, as these plants start to grow and writhe and constrict, they really start to pull at you. So, make me a reflex save as you go to move towards her here.
Sorry, reflex?
Yes.
Nope, 9. Oh, wait, I want to use my, my sawbuck, which is 2d20. So let me do that. Do I do it again?
Yeah, just roll it again and take whichever is better, yep.
Oh, please. 26, natural 20.
Natural 20 critically succeeds, which would let you get up to her and do the chill touch for sure.
Yes.
And then she makes what save?
It is a Fortitude. It is a Fortitude save. Okay. My spell. Okay, so is that a crit? Is regular success?
Right. Just a regular success, not a critical.
Darn. Okay. So that's just a 1d4 plus. Now, when it says I'm sorry. My spell modifier, is that just going to be my charisma bonus?
Correct. So that would probably just be +4. And then she will take half of this from the regular success.
8.
Yes, so she will take
damage.
4 damage because she regularly succeeded, so she'll take half.
Okay.
And what happens as you touch her with this?
Her body has that cold, chill sensation, like almost like sleep's drawing her in. And Vera's eye, that's purple, will start to shimmer and have a swirl inside of it.
As you see that, Olive, the plants are probably a little more obtrusive for you. You're very small. Make me a reflex save here.
Oh. Where's my lucky dice? Okay. 10 plus 6, 16.
16 is going to fail. So as the plants grab at you, they are going to kind of inhibit, very dramatically inhibit your ability to move around the battlefield. Your speed this round is going to be 15 instead of 25, and every square is difficult terrain. And you can only move 2 squares with 1 move action.
Okay.
You can use 1 action to attempt to pull yourself out of the plants, to remove the slowing effect. That's up to you.
You're telling me I'm a plant and I just got trapped by plants?
Yeah, little stick legs. They're really easy to grab.
Yeah, okay, true. Well, does it inhibit my ability to attack the thing that is already
It does not,
me?
no. It's grabbing at your legs.
then-
It's not, even for you, it's not long enough to get to your arms.
Seeing that it looks like Vera and Tabitha are kind of handling the druid, she will attack the bigger than her rat in front of her so it doesn't turn around and go for them. So she'll just swing her bastard sword. And 18 plus 9, so 27. To hit.
27 is definitely going to critically hit the red. That is definitely more than 10 over for sure.
Great. D8 plus 4. Okay, and what is critically hit for Pathfinder 2? Is it any?
Times 2. So you roll the damage normally and then just double it.
Okay, so that's gonna be, and then I add the modifier after, or
Nope. Die and modifier, double the whole thing.
that's gonna be 22 damage to the big rat. Because I rolled a 7 on my d8.
This
plus
rat,
4.
I want to let you know that when this fight started, the rat had 8 health. That was its max health is 8. What is happening to this rat?
He's disintegrating. Just kidding.
Yeah,
Olive is just it's been a night. She just came here. She's worried about her circus family, and just thing after thing has happened tonight. So she is not holding back when she attacks this rat in front of her.
Obviously not. No, the poof of a hair. This rat is just gone. You have 2 actions.
Oh, okay. So I guess can I? So I can move. Let's see, 5, 10. Can I move to be diagonal from the druid? I guess to assist them if needed.
It would take you both of your actions, but you could get there. Yes.
Okay,
All right,
I'll do
Bodhi
that just
Perp.
in case it comes.
As you open this wagon, you again hear the kind of sad from Bardolph as he kind of pokes his head out. Just sort of looks at you real sad, like he knows he done bad. Bardolph's real kind of diminished now, his head's sort of hanging down, he's side-eyeing you.
I want to give him a quick scritch behind the bear ear, a little tufted ear. And then action go. I don't whatever the start of the act was. I want to give that hand signal, assuming like we're playing mostly for intimidation here. I think.
Okay.
Because I don't know that the bear was taught attack, because that seems
not an attack bear.
yeah, exactly. Or I don't know if the act had a rescue or something involved.
Give me a thievery or deception. I'll give you the deception this time.
I'm gonna go with deception.
That makes sense. He's the one there. That's probably trained in that one, right?
Only a 14. I'm gonna add a d6 to it because I really want this bear to save the day more than anything else. Add 5 to that.
Ooh, the 19. Do encourage Bardolph. He's gonna stand up and let out a much happier and then take off running towards the group. He doesn't really know what he's doing. But visibly you would see a huge grizzly bear stampeding, smashing through the creek, and running over towards the group of people that he can see here just behind the wagons. It's about where he would get with 3 actions of grizzly bear stampeding over excitedly.
I love him.
And then I'll use the remainder of my actions to follow.
All right, you can follow, and you can get back over to the creek. You'd have to jump across it again, or wade through it next time, but close where you can see the action. Tabitha, frightened too.
Oh my god, so I have to -2 everything.
Absolutely every roll, yes. And even if you cast a spell that she just saves, your spell DC is also 2 lower.
Ooh. And like a 17 barely hit her. I'm gonna try to
17.
swipe at her again. Huh?
All right. 17
yeah.
did miss. That was like flavor, but that did miss.
I was like, oh my god. Okay. Let's try that again. I'm gonna try to swipe at her one more time. Nope. And I'm gonna back it up. Gonna back it up. Probably about there. Or these are my friends. I might just take like I might just do
Before you can
a
really
5.
hold back, I'm gonna need a reflex save for the plants.
Are
See
the
what kind of
plants
pulling back we can do. Yes, and it is at a -2 from your fighting condition.
If I just take a 5-foot step back, would I have to?
I still need it because if you critically fail, you're completely immobilized and can't leave the square at all without escaping.
This is great. I love plants so much. This is a reflex? Okay.
Reflex. Believe.
All right. I believe.
You just gotta not critically fail.
Yeah, let's not critically fail. I prefer not to fail. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20 will succeed. So it's everything around you is difficult terrain, but there's no further inhibitions. So
Got it. So I step
it's
back
moved
just a
over.
bit because I don't want to leave my friends, but I'm also not like confident that I should be all up in her face. And that is what I will do.
You have one action left. If you want
One-
to either inspire courage or
I have
take another
one,
spite.
but I'm trying to. Oh my gosh, yes, I have cantrips. I'm so used to being like spells. I'm gonna go ahead and inspire courage. Let's do that.
Yeah. That's totally spammable. So you can literally throw that up every turn as your third action and not lose anything.
Got it.
But
Make sure.
as you throw that up, your frightened condition is going to reduce to 1. It goes down by 1 automatically turn, fortunately. The druid is going to quite casually kind of step back to her plants here, looking at the group of you and how easily you've whacked through her rats and Bardolph stampeding over her direction now. How? He had been corrupted! How have you wrought free my magics? No matter. Aberton is beyond your hope to save. And if you can, slay some of my precious rats. Ratioianum! And again, at the end of that, she puts her hands together, raises the staff up, and sort of shimmering, waving, almost like a heat haze, like a mirage in the desert, emanates out across her body as she disappears.
No! Can I use Chill Touch as a reaction?
There's no fool.
Now we gotta get
I'm
the
upset
bear back.
because.
Reach out for
Do we not get like an attack of opportunity as she casts a spell next to us? Like all of us?
She stepped back. After she cast it.
Did she step back towards me?
She stepped back alongside the wagon, so it was 10 feet. But the only one who has attack of opportunity here is Olive, because that's not an innate thing anymore.
I'm
Only
silly.
fighters.
It's been a minute.
All right, let's
Yeah.
go.
I
I'll
gotta-
kill her.
But step back away from all of you, and as you reach up with your chill touch, let her reaching out her direction, Olive poking out with the bastard sword to just catch nothing but air. He doesn't appear to have gone invisible. He appears to have left entirely. As to where, mystery still remains unsolved. Ardolph runs up to all of you, very excited to perform, gets up on his hind legs, arms out. No idea what's going on, but he's been commanded kind of one leg to the other. Victory dance here. There's a slew of dead rats, their souls blasted their body by grim tendrils spread throughout the area. One rat is just hair across the ground. Well, you have forced this strange woman to retreat. For now, at the very least. Nothing else. Probably won't be bothering you any further tonight. Fortunate that you investigated as you did, lurking nearby, waiting for her opportunity to strike. Had you not pushed her back, well, this could have been a terribly dark night. The last one, the Circus of Wayward Wonders. Still out there, scheming whatever she's scheming, a problem to be addressed. Well, later, perhaps, when you're stronger, more prepared. Have some time to ready yourself. Speaking of, what an exhausting day. What a terrifyingly intensive opening night for the Circus of Wayward Wonders. I think after all of that, you certainly deserve a level up, don't you?
Yeah.
Maybe level 2?
Yeah.
Level 2.
And I'm resting.
Yeah, I need a nap.
Absolutely. absolutely well-earned rest that you will have. And when you awake more powerful, perhaps more spell slots and finer abilities, second edition lets you pick a cool class feat immediately at level 2, so you can get some new, nice powers. We come back next week, same time, same place. What is it your time? 6 p.m.?
6, yeah.
Pacific? It's 9 p.m. Eastern for me. But there's plenty of more plenty more debt action coming later this week. There's a brand new show airing this Friday, actually. Shambhala? Am I saying that right?
Shambhala. Tides of Change.
Shambhala Tides of Change. Airing this Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern as well. And Jared, I think you have a little bit more information on that show.
Yeah, that is a show that is our first very top to bottom BIPOC LGBTQ plus show. I'm really excited. The GM Aki has she's got too rich of a world, I think, to get it into the episode arc that we have. Like, I'm going through it now. I just want to publish it. I'm not a publisher, but it's a thing I want to do. So,
it sounds like it's going to be a fantastic adventure with an absolute ton of work and love put into the back end here. So you're not going to want to miss that. And just the very day after, or 2 days after, rather, sorry, it's Sunday night at 6, is the Kings of Dirt as well. So plenty more dead action coming to you this weekend. We'll see you with our fine level 2 powers next week. And you want to send us off with where we can find some more action from you, my fine crew. We'll do it backwards, so we did when we started the show. Ash, where can we find more of your engaging entertainment?
You can find me at Arcane Faith with a Y, pretty much everywhere. I stream Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on Twitch. I mostly do horror games, but we do some indie fun games like that. You can also find me on the Twitters and the Instagrams.
Hey. And hi, I'm Chelseabytes. I am a Twitch variety streamer who likes to play just about everything, but we also like to talk a lot. You can find me everywhere at Chelseabytes. Yeah, it sounds like it's time for Jared.
Oh. Yeah, I'm Jared. You can find me right here. If I'm not here, I'm over on my channel, The Real Gobshite, a variety streamer, playing all kinds of things. You know how to Google. That's it.
I do know how to Google. I'm gonna Google you after this because I watched last episode during work and saw that you said to Google you, and it's all you're talking about, so now I have to. Hi guys, I'm Mae Le Fay, and I am not on everything: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Right now on Twitch, we're playing through Sekiro and Final Fantasy XIV. I just ordered a suit of armor, so that'll be on Instagram sometime soon. Fantasy stuff, just all the fantasy stuff. And you'll also see me in this chat here, coming back to check up on these lovely humans and make sure they're kicking this rat lady's butt. So I'll see you there.
I'm gonna miss the olive.
You have to keep her alive.
Beautiful tiny fruit baby. Is an olive a fruit? Is that a fruit?
It is technically a stone fruit, yeah.
I hope so, because I'm a
Today I learned the thing. Anyway, I am Squiiddish, GM here, and the GM for the Two Perception show. We run our main campaign on Saturdays over at twitch.tv/officialpaizo at what would be 11? Noon Pacific. I'm so bad at time conversion. Noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern time. We just started a new Curse the Crimson Throne conversion of 2nd edition. We also do a bunch of variety stuff over at my channel, twitch.tv/Squiiddish. It's hard to spell. It's that yellow thing in the Twitch chat right there. That's me. I'm addicted to RuneScape. I have also started Final Fantasy XIV with everyone else on the planet.
Oh my god, yes!
Yes!
Let's be friends!
No, I'm not. I'm a Rogadin. I'm a big Ganondorf man.
That's fine. We'll still accept you.
But that is it for us for tonight, everyone. It's been an absolute blast. Stay with us. We're going to go on a raiding adventure elsewhere into the Twitch ecosystem, taking us to some new adventures. Hope you all enjoyed and hope we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.